expand because, of course, Protoss has the... Oh, he's actually going to lose the bunker if he doesn't pull another SCV. He pulls the SCVs. He's going to lose the bunker. He has no tank behind this. I think he's going to have to lift his natural, and Bonyth might actually just walk up kogeT's. It's going to be... I don't think eOnzErG has the production to match this. Again, remember, Protoss is on equal bases with the Zerg, so, I mean, unless eOnzErG has a weird Ninja Expo, it's really hard for me to conceive of him defending against this with just Slayer units, but it looks like he's doing it, so eOnzErG playing kind of out of...
They are on hold position. There he goes. There's no scan, and this is going to be the last move for Body. There's half of the army instantly gone. Now the Mutas instantly jump on top of them. The Lurkers have traded so well and have thinned out this Marine ball quite a bit. Maybe he can bust through. Oh, he's going to lose all of his Marines to these couple of Lurkers. The vessels were a little bit out. He waits, the more devastating. Now he goes in, but the 4 cannons are up. So this is it for eOnzErG. Zealous trying to be a hero in the front. You can see how fast these cannons are going down. Ling's getting on top of the bottom cam. There's only 1 remaining, and if this cannon goes down, there's going to be no more detection for fun.
Great, because this Arbiter's going to get energy, and kogeT's not going to get the EMP off. I think Stasis is going to go off, but no, actually the EMP lands before anything gets Stasis, so Fabric cannot take
this might be kogeT just going for the throat. He's stimming in here. 4 Sunkens are strong. Good muta control at the bottom. I think it's just way too much kogeT. All of the Sunkens are falling. You can see how fast the Mutalisks also fall. And this is going to be kogeT just busting through. Where are the Lings? Did they also get picked off?
That was really good for Ultra, killing 2 SCVs like that.
Yeah, it was not bad, but it's got to be careful to not lose these Marines. Almost manages to pick off that weakened Marine. Look at that moving shot with the SCV. That's not something you see every day, especially with an SCV. But that's 3 Marines that just get wiped out by 1 Marine and 2 SCVs. And now Ultra's in big time trouble.
Bo is making a scout. He has a shuttle out with the Reaver already. There's no turret, only Marines to defend against the shuttle, and I think he's going to be able to completely decimate this as he drops on top of the Terran army. The Reaver gets a nice shot onto the 2 tanks. It dies, but not before taking 2 tanks with it, and Bo's army is just going to clean this up.
They're trying to come in, but remember, there's still 3 Corsairs alive. We're not worried about 2 Mutas here, so I think that Bo White might actually bust him. That's a great storm. Hits so many Hydras, he has at least 2 more available. And that's gonna hit the Mutas too.
Oh.
It dealt so much damage, so now the Muta switch is completely nullified to go there. He sees the units coming in from the angle. Can the Maelstrom? Oh, he gets a good Maelstrom right there, right on top of him. And the Storm gets the Hydras in the back. And this is the trade that he was looking for. But is there enough Zealots?
That was absolutely... And I wonder, Cryok, he doesn't... I feel like Cryok is totally caught out of position. He's going to lose these tanks for free. I don't know how many units Cryok has at his main base. Sneaking up on the low ground, I feel like Danny's just going to bust here, and he's going to get into Cryok's main base. And what's Cryok going to do? He has to basically really start getting super cost effective against the Protoss army. And again, he's only on 1-0 upgrade, so not quite hitting his power spike just yet, but you can see that Boa's economy is struggling. He's just not producing that many units, and he doesn't have anything to really contest this, despite being a really early push. And now Danny's sieging up. Vulture's in front. Vulture's going to receive these Zealots. The Zealots get on top of the tanks, though. Dandy not quite focused. Okay, you see Dandy beautifully focus firing the Dragoons and unsieging right after that, so he doesn't get any more siege fire onto the Zealots, and Dandy played that perfectly there, completely wiped the floor with Boa's army, and he's just going to go
down at the same time. Only kills a couple. Oh, he gets.
Oh, that was a massive storm. It's not quite clear where does kogeT go from here. The fight's gonna happen. Oh no, okay. I think it's just a couple of straggling units. Dewalt going in here, trying to see if he has a bust timing onto this army. There's a lot of tanks, and actually, I think kogeT will have more than enough. The tanks have really good split here to not get stasis too much. But actually, Dewalt with the extra Zealots pushes through, finds 6 stasis, even 1 stasis for 2 more mutas, but the push is coming. Avilov is in position. Storms go off though, and Dewalt, if he just lands a couple of good storms, it's going to be enough for him to push through here. He has so many Dragoons, so many Zealots, bunch of gates rallying behind this. Still, look, the drone count is pretty even, and Sziky has 2 hatcheries going, and he has access to the second gas, so he doesn't have to expand just yet. He can play aggressively. This map really kind of still looks so much Zerg red units coming down. This is exactly what I was expecting to see. You really just want to keep flooding the Protoss at this point. You should be perpetually maxed, perpetually sending a bunch of Lings, and finally, okay, Sziky finds the engagement he was looking for. All he on the third base, and he's actually just going to take this fight with a +2 Carapace timing, but Gornish has his as well, so we're just going to have a dogfight in the air. Mutalisk versus Mutalisk, just the blob, green blades going everywhere. Scourge coming in from Sziky. No more Scourge, actually a couple from Gornish as well, and we'll have to see here. There's no clear advantage. I mean, it's just Mutalisk flailing themselves. Yeah, it looks like
there's just way too much air for Sziky, and Gornish, who had all those wings, unfortunately doesn't help him in an air battle. Now he's going to lose bottom right, get back as if he gets a catch onto that Reaver, but there's a second one already there. Oh no, no, they both go down. Well, no, one of them goes down, but the two Reavers on the high ground are now just going to lay. Hey man, look at those! That juicy shot onto those 5 goons. 3 of them die instantly, and this is going to be eOnzErG easily holding Boa's attack.
The burrow with your lurkers to hold positions, but it looks like still TrueTouch is going to push through here.
Yeah, 120 supply versus 90, but Hydras are just so good. There's no storm either, so that's a great storm in the back, and that's going to completely wipe these Hydras. And now it's 4 base versus 4. She's still in a bit of trouble. Oh my God! The nails from the Archon's just sitting there, just going to blast down all of the Mutas list, and this is 11 Mutas all time. Welcome to another day of BSL. We are into the round of 8 now. We just got to see all of the highlights from our top 8 players. The Maelstrom at the end, I forgot about that. Pretty sick. And of course, joining me is the Big Jip. Are you excited for this round of 8?
Oh yeah. Like I said, Nayokin, every week I look forward to this cast with you because, outside of this cast, you've been just ignoring me. But yeah, definitely excited actually. And the new format, the round robin format, is going to be really awesome. Everyone's going to, every player is going to play against every player. We're going to have all sorts of matchups. And we also have like a really good race distribution. Just, I think we're at 4 Protoss, 2 Zerg, 2 Terran. So it doesn't get that, much more balanced than that, to be honest. I mean, maybe 3-3-2 would be slightly better, but, can't really complain. So yeah, definitely excited, Nayokin. But today we're only going to have a couple of those games. Who are we going to see?
Yeah, so even though we do have a nice racial balance, every single matchup has at least one Protoss. We're going to have Boa versus Bonyth to start us off. Then we've got kogeT versus Ouya, Dewalt versus eOnzErG, Dandy versus Boa, and Dewalt versus Sziky. And like as I go down the list of games, it's just like I look at player 1, I'm like, holy moly. Then I look at player 2, I'm like, holy moly. Like, does it get better than this? Like, I'm really excited to see every single match here. Yeah. There's only one mirror match, and that is going to start us off, which is Boa versus Bonyth. But after that, it's PvP or PvT, PvZ, TvP. There's no TvZ because only one Terran in the group. And I don't know how the matches got picked, but I think they were just randomly selected. So we may see some more, or we may see some Terran versus Zerg tomorrow. But for now, it's just going to be a Protoss
$5. GLHFG.
Yeah, definitely. If you're a Protoss player, this is your day because you're going to have a nice clinic on every single matchup from basically the best players outside of Korea. And like you said, this first game is going to be, so you can see here, Bonyth, Boa, kogeT, Ouya, Dewalt, eOnzErG, Boa, Dandy, and Dewalt Sziky in the order that we're going to be playing them. I mean, unless something happens, we might end up playing one game. Who knows, right? But tentatively, this is the schedule for today. So the first game is going to be Bonyth versus Boa. And, I mean, this is going to be a doozer. A woozer.
A doozy, I think, is what you're looking for.
I don't know, dude. Whatever, man.
Yeah. We saw this matchup already, didn't we? We saw Boa versus Bonyth, or was it Boa versus Dewalt?
Yeah.
Yes, Boa versus Dewalt. And Boa did take a win. Remember, he proxy gated in the center of the map, and then he had a pretty good game. I think it was on Polypoid. So definitely someone that does have a chance here, but it is Bonyth, who always does well in BSL. Now, yesterday I was watching his stream and actually did manage to lose a PvP. And I think PvP, he's got 100% win rate in this matchup in BSL. Yeah. So generally, if you match him and you're a Protoss player, it's you're essentially just going to lose. So we'll see if he can continue that streak. Bo is a very, very strong opponent. Yeah, look, versus the Protoss. 14-0, 100% win rate. Versus Terran, it's almost the same thing, 86% win rate. Like, this guy's just unstoppable.
Yeah, and 100% his versus Protoss is by far his best matchup. I think a lot of the top players would also agree to that. You know, we're in a Discord with people like TT1, Avilov, and even Rhett. And you know, they're all typing, you know, they all say, wow, Bonyth PvP, he's just unbeatable. It's just, you know, if he's gonna lose a matchup, it's gonna be versus Zerg. It's gonna be even versus Terran, but versus Protoss, that's going to be really something. Like, if someone can take him down, that'll be something. But Boa, John Dong, he's a really strong player. Really strong, definitely has been underrated up until this point, made it to the round of 8. So without a doubt, he has a chance here against Bonyth, but it's going to be an uphill struggle. We've seen him do well in Protoss versus Protoss. You know, he did go 1-2 versus Dewalt off the back of a proxy gate, you know, but he also played really strong games like in the other games, macro games. So he could do it.
We have seen other Protoss players almost take down players like Bonyth, like Dewalt. Remember earlier in BSL, we had Tech, had one of the best engagements I've ever seen in PvP, just dismantled Dewalt, but was not able to actually, I think, finish the game. Dewalt managed to come back. So for sure, someone like Boa can definitely take down Bonyth, but it's going to be super, super hard. Now, as far as the maps, I think we've already seen that it's going to be Polypoid first, then it's going to be Sylphid, and then it's going to be Eclipse. So is there any particular map you think that's going to favor Boa? Is it going to be Polypoid where it's a 4-player map, or is it something that's more like Eclipse? And unfortunately, that would be his last, the last map in the series.
Yeah, I really don't know, Naoki. I think if Eclipse is the last map, I mean, in PvP, you know, maps with ramps, 2-player maps where it's easier to scout is definitely going to favor the player that is the stronger player. I think usually if you are looking for upsets in that matchup, you want a flat map, something like Sylphid or Optimizer, which Sylphid will see in game 2, right? Or game 1?
Game 2 is Sylphid and Polypoid is game 1.
Yeah, so Sylphid definitely will be, and that's the map where he actually proxied 2-gated versus Dewalt. So I think Sylphid definitely he would have a really strong chance on. The other maps, it's going to be a bit harder, but I don't know. I mean, Boa's not really, he's the kind of guy that, he's the kind of player that just plays, he does mix in a lot of aggression, but he's a pretty standard player and he's not afraid of playing real games. So I don't know. What do you think he should, you know, what do you think? The thing is, though, it is a round robin, right? So the first couple of games, they're all important, right? Obviously, but you're not out if you just lose. So, and I think Boa's struggled with nerves a lot in this tournament, so I think that's going to help him, but I don't know what you think.
Yeah, it is round robin, so everybody plays each other, and the top 6 make it on to the round of 6. 2 people are going to be eliminated, and based on your record is going to determine your placement. So if you watch bowling, actually, bowling does something very similar, where the person with the best record just gets straight up placed into the finals. So it's very important. You want to win all your matches because you do not want to have to start from the bottom and work your way up. You just want to be directly placed in there. So for sure, he wants to win, but if he does lose, it's not going to be the end of the world. So you mentioned that he has a problem with nerves. Now, me, online, I don't really have a problem with nerves, but offline, I have a big deal. Do you think it's going to affect him here, or do you think he's gotten over it now that he's gone from round of 32 to the round of 38 or to the round of 8?
Yeah, I really don't know because like I think Boa is actually a really strong, and you know, we're talking a lot of time, we're spending a lot of time on Boa, guys, of course, because I think he's kind of the more, I think we both think that he's the underdog, right, against Bonyth, and everyone knows Bonyth. Boa is more of the up and comer here. I don't know, he in some practice games, he just plays insane. You know, he has some situations that sometimes he struggles with, but when you hit him on the ladder, when you play custom games with him, he's really strong. So, and we've seen him in this tournament struggle with closing out some games, but hold that thought because the game is ready here. It's going to be on Polypoid game 1. Bonyth versus Boa. Let's start it off.
So it is time to kick off our round of 8. In the top right, we have our bluish gray Protoss player. You know who it is. It's Bonyth.
Top left, the red Protoss. From America, it is Boa. And yeah, I mean, I wasn't really going anywhere other than I do think Boa has struggled with nerves. But on a more interesting note, did you know Boa is actually Canadian?
He's Canadian?
Yeah. He's currently... Oh, so... Okay, well, I mean...
So you're telling me we have no NA players? No, I mean no USA players.
Well, he's residing in the US right now, so... But he is actually Canadian.
So there's no American hope, is what you're telling me.
Exactly.
Oh, man. All the good players come from Canada, it seems.
And all of a sudden, more good Canadian players, dude. Have you seen this nation of ours?
I have. You got TT1, you got Boa, you got Crossy, you got Dragon, you got
Models.
the Big Jip. You got models. You got so many of them. Now, let me tell you, the Canadian flag, I do know the color of that.
Oh, yeah?
Red, white. Did I get it right this time?
What's in the middle?
Is there something missing?
I'm
missing.
What's in the middle?
Let me think. Is it a leaf? Maybe?
Yeah, what kind, though?
Maple leaf. Come on now.
Okay.
Oh, well, look at this. We got 2 gate, but it's not proxied. And I think that Boa is just going to be going for a standard build now. Luckily for him, he gets a first scout off, and he sees what's coming. And whenever I used to face this when I was off racing, a lot of these players would go into Forge and expand. Do you think that's what we can expect from Bonyth here? Is this just going to be transitioned into normal, some type of goon play?
I don't know, but that sounds like a Nyoken build. And I'm a newbie.
Oh, is it? Is it?
I'm a newbie in Protoss vs. Protoss. I think I'm going to default to you for this particular build order. Apparently Forge is what we'll be looking for next. But it is weird from Bonyth for sure.
Well, a lot of times the players that I do face end up going into the Forge. And it's surprisingly strong or hard to... Oh, he might catch this probe, but Bonyth Micro catches the probe. In time, he is going to save it and see that there is tech behind this. Now, it does seem that Bonyth is actually going into tech, so it's not going to be the Forge follow-up that I face on the ladder quite often.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what he wants to use with these 2 gates, because these 3 Zealots, I don't think are really going to get much damage done. I think that's a Cybernetics going up for him also. But for now, Boa doesn't really have that much to defend with. It's just 1 Zealot.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder actually, you think maybe he thought Boa was going to proxy him? And he just kind of blind countered the 2-gate proxy?
It could be.
This Dragoon can't die, but the thing with Dragoons versus Zealots is that the Dragoons can infinitely kite the Zealots, but they actually take a long time to kill them. So these Zealots are going to come in here into Boa's base, and they're going to threaten to kill a lot of these probes. Now, Boa has a shield battery here coming, very interesting, and 1 Zealot. It's actually crazy. He is still only on 1 gateway, and it looks like Bonyth is not committing to making more Zealots. He does get 1 probe, almost gets a second. And Boa has vision. He knows this is only 3 Zealots, so staying on 1 gate, getting the shield battery actually makes a lot of sense because he can regen his probes.
Yeah, he did lose 2 probes there, both on the gas, but not a big deal. Well, now if he loses a third probe, now it's starting to hurt a bit, because behind this, of course, Bonyth is not cutting. I'm not sure if I see a red dot in the main. Okay, there is the red dot in the main. So he did see what Bonyth was going for. Now, I thought that was going to be a Citadel, but instead that's just a pylon. So both players have not seen what either player is going to tech to, but more than likely just going to see standard robo follow-up. But getting 3 probe kills, that is very nice. And unfortunately, this shield battery seems to have blocked some of the mining, so he's going to have to just kill that off.
Yeah, but I do like Boa's reaction here. He didn't put a second gateway down, so now he can get his robo up really fast. So he's going to be safe against DTs. He's also going to have timing on the Reaver. He saw what Bonyth was doing with his scouting probe in terms of the 2-gate core follow-up. So probably, I would assume that he's putting... I mean, Bonyth could be doing anything. He could be expanding. He could be putting down a Citadel or Robo himself. Now, actually, Bonyth is going for the most unlikely... I think if I were Boa here, I would probably assume it's either expand or DTs. But actually, Bonyth is going for a Robo himself. And yeah, so far, I mean, Bonyth does seem to be ahead just from having killed those probes, but I don't think Boa is in a really bad spot here. I think he's actually fine.
Well, 6 goons are going to poke in, see that there is nothing at the natural, no Nexus as expected. Boa is just playing very, very standard 2-gate, Observer, Reaver is going to be coming down. Now, for now, Bonyth does have the Arc, and you can see that he's already got his Nexus going down at the natural. He knows that with this Arc, it's going to take a long time for Boa to push down here and punish it. So I love this follow-up from Bonyth, and also knowing that he got quite a bit of probes in the early game is a big deal. We can see that supplies are still very close, but that's more than likely because 4 of that supply just went into a Reaver right now. But as soon as Bonyth starts his own Reaver, you should see another decently sized supply swing in his favor.
Yeah, and luckily for Boa, he did go for this support bay really early, so he should be able to push out of this contain relatively... I mean, it's not going to be too easy. There's always the chance that Bonyth kind of snipes the shuttle or the Reaver, but basically with this ramp, you can just crawl the Reaver down, take shots. But actually, there's only 6 Dragoons here, and Boa knows this, so he's just going to push out, not waste any time with this contain, gets 1 Dragoon, and once his shuttle pops here, he's going to have a nice timing onto this Nexus.
Yeah, if Boa just instantly goes right now, once the shuttle comes out, I think he has a good chance to end this game. The Reaver is not going to be out in time for Bonyth, or if it is, you know that there's not going to be a shuttle, and the shuttle is crucial when microing a Reaver. So if Bonyth wants to go for, or if Boa wants to go for a killing blow, I think this is the time to go. But because it is polypoid, you see that Bonyth is just sitting on the high ground waiting. He's going to trade very, very effective there. But Boa knows he's waiting because he already has the Observer in position.
It's only 5 Dragoons too.
Yeah, it's only 5. Zealot leading the way. We know that Goons... He loses another Goon. That's 2 Goons down. And now another Goon taking a lot of damage. You can see Bonyth scrambling to get out his Reaver. And there's the shuttle and Reaver. Boa has a really good shot to break this. And also, Bonyth is bottled up now.
Yeah, Boa has to do something here because the Nexus is so fast for Bonyth. He does have the shuttle advantage. Nice Scarab goes off there. The shuttle's going to be crucial. Shuttle micro here. Boa has to be absolutely immaculate, but suddenly, you know, Bonyth gets reinforced with a couple of Zealots. They're tanking a lot of hits from Boa's Dragoons, and I think it's going to be more than enough for Boa to deal with. He's going to lose absolutely everything here, and I mean, he didn't really trade at all. You can see the supplies. Bonyth is just skyrocketing up, and I've been keeping my eye on the resources Nyokin this whole time, and it just seems like Boa has a bit of a hard time just keeping his money low, and you could see I just feel like it's just so hard in those situations when you know you have to make something happen. You have all that pressure against you, and he just couldn't convert it here. Now Bonyth coming in with the counterattack, he's gonna basically stop mining at this Nexus, and I can't really see a way Bonyth ever establishes this this natural ever again. I think this is gonna be really hard for him.
Yeah, look at the supply, 60 to 40. Probe pull. Meanwhile, your opponent is continuing to mine at his own natural. Everything going wrong for Boa, and I thought for sure he was going to break him. I'd have to replay the fight because it seemed like it was very, very even, except shuttle advantage. Then all of a sudden, just an overwhelming amount of Protoss from Bonyth. So maybe the reinforcements were just a little bit too fast. And now we have a 30 supply lead going into the mid game. We can already see that Bonyth has started to build more gateways. It's up to 5-6 gate. And meanwhile, on the other side of the map, still struggling to just support 3 is Boa.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a tough spot to be in now. Bonyth is going to have the shuttle advantage. He's going to target Boa's Reaver, and look at that micro. Just the Reaver never gets touched. Kills Boa's Reaver. You know, he had way more Dragoons to start with, but still, actually, Boa is defending against this somehow. That was actually kind of insane that he didn't die there, because Bonyth actually had the shuttle advantage. He had more Dragoons, and it looks like Boa, yeah, he's going to lose a lot of probes to this one Reaver. And, you know, even though he defended there, mostly thanks to the second Reaver that came down the ramp just in time, Bonyth, I mean, he just killed half his probes at the natural.
Yeah, even though the game doesn't end with that attack, Citadel's already done. Speed's going to be kicking in pretty soon, doubling the production of Boa. Consistently low on probes at the natural, again from that nice Reaver shot at the end. Boa does have a strong army with the one Reaver, but with the lack of shuttle, it's very, very vulnerable. It's already down at half health. Now the follow-up attack, I don't think there's any chance of it being stopped. The Reaver's just going to instantly pop Boa's Reaver, and that's going to be it. GG coming out from Boa, and a convincing win for Bonyth.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say to that. Just straight up domination there from Bonyth.
Yeah, and it's not a good sign for Boa, because remember, in the first couple engagements, he picked off one goon each time. So really, in that fight, Bonyth could have had an extra 2 goons, but they were just eliminated, and he still overwhelmingly won the fight. So if I'm Boa in this scenario, I'm not feeling very good about that, because everything seemed to be okay for him other than losing the couple 3 probes.
Yeah.
So now going into game 2, I kind of feel like I have to do something crazy, whether it's going for some type of economic play to get a huge lead, or just try to go for an overwhelming amount of units like a 3 gate or like 4 gate maybe, just something to the extreme.
Yeah, and I mean, if there's a map to do it on, it's going to be on Sylphid, right? Because without the ramp to defend, Dragoons and gateways are that much more powerful. So we might see that, but at the same time, like, you know, we saw Bonyth go for a random 2-gate opening, which is really weird, and I think that might put Boa off of doing anything crazy, because like Bonyth is the one like that's opening crazy. And again, it's just hard to evaluate how that early game went. Looks like those 3 probes that Bonyth killed, or 4 probes or whatever, was just such a massive deal, because even though Boa got his robo up that much faster and he had those gateways going, like, he just didn't have a timing onto the Nexus, onto Bonyth's expansion. So that was really, despite killing 2 Dragoons, like, and I don't know if it's him missing probes, or if it's him not spending his money, or if it's just the result of those 3 probe kills, the opening from Bonyth being that strong. But yeah, I mean, definitely, if you're John Dong here, I don't think you're feeling too confident.
Yeah, well, we'll see if he can bring it back. It is going to be Sylphid. We already saw him take out Dewalt on this map. Let's see if he can do it again, except this time versus Bonyth. So in the top middle, in the red, it is our Canadian Protoss living in America, Boa.
And bottom left, from the Soul Clan, it is Bonyth.
Yeah, so thinking back to the early game, he did lose those 3 probes, and the shield battery, you know, is not something you necessarily want either. So that's really 250 minerals. That could have been something else, like a gateway, could have been another 2 goons, really. So
yeah,
that
actually,
did affect his build.
that's a good point. I feel like the shield battery was actually a really interesting choice, right? Because the point was he's gonna charge up the probes that get targeted, right? Like that, and that's actually that's hilariously creative. But if you make the shield battery and then you also lose the probes, when the point is to not lose the probes, like the shield battery, like the investment, what is it? It's like 100 minerals, right? Like that's not a big, yeah, it's not a big investment. But losing the probes on top of that, definitely. I mean, then the shield battery, like, what's the point of having spent that 100 minerals to begin with, right?
Yeah, the 100 minerals could have been a zealot, could have been used in the fight at the natural, which may have been potentially game changing, since you know how many hits a zealot ends up taking from a goon. So a bit unlucky there for Boa to make that and not really receive any benefit. Now this time, I don't think we're going to see 2-gate from Bonyth. I don't think we're going to see 2-gate from Boa. There's no proxy anywhere. This more than likely is just going to be pretty standard, I think. And as I say that, looks like both players just have opted into the gas.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, looks like pretty standard builds here. No one's going for a proxy 2-gate. No one's going for a 2-gate in their main. But we'll have to see. You know, usually the Protoss builds do diverge after the Dragoon comes out to deny the scouts. But until then, it's...
Well,
yeah.
Okay. I was looking at the money, and the cybernetics was a bit late for Boa. He was approaching 300 minerals. I thought for a second he may be going in for into a Nexus with gas taken, which would have been really weird, but instead it's just a slightly delayed cybernetics. We can see that Bonyth is sharking around. I think he may want to try and pylon block the top middle, but other than that, oh, maybe not. He's just going to harass the probe line.
Yeah, Bonyth being annoying there with the probes. So
I mean, this is a big deal, pulling off 2 probes.
Yeah, for sure. When Boa's probe isn't actually doing anything in Bonyth's base, but it's actually surprising, man, because you know, if there's one matchup you don't expect there to be probe harassment in, it's definitely PvP. But Bonyth, known for his micro in all aspects of the game, he's just being so annoying.
You know, I played, I think it was Yapsop on the ladder like 2 weeks ago, and he's like 2,800, right, or something insane, and my rating was like 2,200. So he just instantly pulled like his 8th drone or something and sent it to my base to make sure he's not getting cheesed. And this one drone forced me to pull off 3 workers. Now look at this harassment. If he kills this probe, I don't even know what to say. It's low health. Okay, he does turn it around. I was about to be losing my mind if I watched a probe kill another probe with the moving shot. But worker harassment really does add up over time.
Yeah, 100%. But at the same time, the player doing the harassment does invest a lot of their attention into it. So sometimes they don't necessarily get their build as close to perfect as they could. And I mean, if they do, then their early game is absolutely insane. And that's just something like, you know, you look at that and you're like, wow, this player is really, really good at early game. And, you know, sometimes, you know, no player is perfect, right? So Bonyth can have an absolutely incredible early game that just puts him into such great positions. But, you know, there's definitely other areas in which Boa can catch up in, or any other player could catch up in. But it's really hard to know that. And, you know, when you play versus players that have really strong early game, it's just so intimidating because from the get-go you feel pressured, you know. But it looks like here Bonyth is going to be pushing out with 4 goons. Bo's gonna have 4 goons. A pure micro battle here, and they both take it. Actually, Bo is not focus firing the same Dragoon there. One of his Dragoons was firing at another Dragoon, but this is gonna be a pretty even trade. Boa has to kill that Dragoon up, and actually Bonyth is gonna kill the last Dragoon. Boa is actually gonna run away. I think he's gonna end up losing. Oh my god, he had to trade that for sure. So that's really unfortunate. And Boa already down 7 supplies somehow.
Yeah, 4v4. Bonyth got off the first shot, and now he has taken a single goon lead over Boa. Not something you want to see if you're a Boa fan. Support bay coming in for Boa. Before this, the builds were essentially mirrored. It's 2-gate robo from both sides, nobody taking a risk, both players just playing super standard. Now back on Bonyth's side of the map, I did not catch the support bait anywhere. I did see the observatory though, so he may be going into another fast nexus.
Yeah, so it looks like that's why Bonyth had a slight lead in supply. I mean, more than the lead you would expect from just one Dragoon, but it looks like Boa is actually gonna have. Is he gonna have his Reaver up faster? It doesn't. It looks like Bonyth does have a support bay because his shuttle is just chilling. Maybe to the yeah. Okay, so he does have a support bay. So both players going for the Reaver here, and Bonyth is gonna get in position outside of Boa's base. Now he's not gonna push in because like Boa has the nice arc there, and that choke would absolutely wreck Bonyth. And actually, Bonyth has the shuttle. Where is Boa's shuttle? He doesn't have a shuttle. He just has the Reaver. He's going to use this Reaver to push back on Boa, or on Bonyth's contain. But the thing is, Boa actually went for this 3-gate here, so it doesn't look like he wants to expand.
Yeah, expansion coming, and Boa is doing basically what I was kind of hoping he would do. He's going to go to the extreme. It's 3-gate with a Reaver.
Yeah.
So he's all or nothing here. He wants to bust Bonyth, and Bonyth may get punished because, as I was saying, I didn't see the support bay. I still didn't see it in his main. I know he has a shuttle, so that means that it exists somewhere. But Reaver, okay, now it has finally been loaded up. But if Bonyth is out of position at all, well, is Boa really going to expand? It seems like he is anticipating expanding, but his build leads me to believe that this is going to be a timing.
Yeah, I mean, it's unclear because obviously Boa took that early loss and he probably felt pressured. He didn't want to get completely contained. That's probably part of the reason why he went for this 3-gate. A true all-in, Boa could go up to 4-gate, so definitely could still expand at some point, but they're going to fight here. Bonyth unloads his Reaver. Oh my god, completely catches Boa's right force off guard there, but Boa is coming in with his own Reaver. He does get a nice shot off onto the Reaver of Bonyth, but unfortunately just loses his shuttle, loses all the Dragoons before the fight even started, and Bonyth is completely ravaging Boa's army.
I think this is just over. There's still a Zealot in the army for Bonyth, so he can just waltz in here, not really have to worry about taking a lot of damage. There's only one Goon, and this is going to be Bonyth sealing the deal, taking 2-0 over Boa convincingly. And this was a 3-gate versus a 2-gate with the same tech. I'm so confused at how Bonyth just makes stuff like this happen every single time.
Yeah, I mean, he's a legend. Or a wizard.
He may be a wizard. Like,
he took the title of Wizard Protoss from Boa.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Same opener, 2-gate robo. They both had Reaver at the same time. They both had shuttle, or Boa had shuttle in time for the attack, and he had a 3rd gate, and he didn't take really any probe damage. How does he trade? It wasn't like he won with like 2 left over. There was 7 Goons and 1 Zealot left over. That's insane how effective that was. And also Boa has reinforcement advantage.
Yeah, I mean, Boa had half his army there just at the start of the fight doing nothing and getting completely segmented off his main army. And just a lapse of focus or attention, because he took forever to react to that. And there's not much to manage at that point in the game. You're on one base, so you should be on top of the engagement. But unfortunately, again, I mean, Bonyth is just such a monster in this matchup, and he's a monster in tournaments in terms of, you rarely see someone like Bonyth choke, right? And Boa still, I mean, it's hard. Going against Bonyth in PvP is probably the hardest matchup he's going to have, but he's going to have to play every other player in the round robin anyway, so definitely his journey is not finished, and I think he probably got the hardest matchup you could get for a Protoss player out of the way first. Okay, so we're actually... Oh, go ahead. Yeah,
we're going to have an interview with Bonyth. I didn't know we were going to get this, so we're going to be going into interview with him in a couple minutes or a couple seconds, really. But as you were saying, this is probably going to be Boa's... Oh, there he is.
The legend.
There he is.
Oh, yeah. The legend himself.
So welcome, Bonyth. You just ended up taking out Boa 2-0. And what were your thoughts in that game? Because he had a strong push on Polypoid, yet you won convincingly. And then I don't know if you know, but on the Silpha game, he went 3-gate Robo, and you were going 2-gate Robo with an expansion, and still you overran him.
Yeah, PvP is a nice matchup where it's all about position and micro. So even if you have even a bigger army, but if you're positioned wrong, then it doesn't really matter. So yeah, PvP is just all about micro in the end.
I'm actually curious, what was your thoughts in the first game opening with the 2-gate?
So yeah, I prepared for a 4-player map that I would go for 10-12 gateway because, I hope that I could scout him faster or Boa would delay his scout, but unfortunately that was not the case. I was very sad to see that probe then. But when I saw a shield battery from Boa, I was really happy because that's essentially like, okay, you're giving me 100 minerals. This is only a free zealot push, so it's fine. As long as I kill 2 probes, it's kind of fine. Every extra probe is just a bigger and bigger advantage for me.
Yeah, and it was definitely something we were talking about. I mean, I thought the shield battery was an interesting play, but he we shouldn't have lost any probes with that, right? But you killed the probes. Did you expect maybe he was going to go for something like a proxy 2-gate? Because we saw him actually proxy 2-gate Dewalt, and I was thinking maybe you wanted to be safe against something like that as well.
Well, this build is kind of safe because you build units from 2 gateways, so you get a lot of units. So what Boa could have gone for is to skip Observer. Then it would be very risky very risky situation for me because I wouldn't have the river yet.
Right.
But because he spent his resources and time for the Observer, he didn't have that window to fight me without my Reaver.
Yeah, you're totally right. He did go for that Observer, which delayed his Reaver push, and then by the time he was at your base, you already had the Reaver to defend. So yeah, totally right. Of course, Bonyth enlightening us with the PvP knowledge. Nayokin, I don't know if you have anything else you want to ask the king, the king of PvP.
Yes, he got 100% win rate, just ridiculous. So
yeah.
You're done with matches today, but tomorrow you've got 2 very strong opponents, Sziky versus eOnzErG. So what are you thinking about going into tomorrow's matches? Are you worried at all? Because Sziky especially looks really, really strong.
Yeah, every player in round of 8 looks really, really strong. I don't look down on any opponents, but at the very least, I'm happy that I get to play against Zerg, 2 Zergs, and not like, I don't know, Zerg and Terran. So I can focus only on one matchup, and yeah, I need to just trust my abilities, even though they're scary. They have 400 APM and so on. What can I say? I'll do my best. I'll do my best to win.
What are your predictions? Top 3 in the round robin.
I'm gonna just exclude myself. So
no, you can include yourself. You can top 4 then. If you include yourself, top 4 then.
So without me, Dewalt, that's for sure. And then there are 2 remaining spots. Let me go with. That's a tough one actually. Then that's much harder to predict. But I'm just gonna put Dewalt in there like a safe bet, and I don't know what happens.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the round of 8 is pretty stacked. Like every single person has a good chance to go really deep. So thank you, Bonyth, for the quick interview, and good luck tomorrow. And now we're going to continue on with day 1. But before we get into game 2, which is kogeT versus Oya, we're going to go into a quick break. Behind, dealing with all of the Hydras coming through the top. Now he luckily gets all of the tanks right there. There's an irradiate. It's gonna go. Oh, he gets the Overlord. Goodbye, drones. But so definitely a lack of defilers did not help this game, and here, this has got to be the last stand from Avilov. He's sending everything at top middle. Unfortunately for him, there's just an immense amount of tanks, and this is going to be Medino taking game 1 in a very, very long 45-minute game.
Now this is going to be a lot of Mutalisks to kill, but I think Medino, if he micros this correctly, he has more than enough. Here comes the
He's
Mutalisk right on
focusing the
top.
hatchery, gonna shoot the Mutalisk, and now this is gonna probably be the game-deciding fight. Does Medino have enough? It looks like he doesn't. That is so many Mutalisks. What, about 24 Mutalisks there, and he easily cleans up the Goliath, but turrets behind it, Avilov doesn't care about those 2 turrets. But
I mean, this army is pretty impressive, but unlike the other games, he doesn't have vessels to EMP Queens, so I think a bunch of Queens are going to come in here, get a lot of Broodlings off onto the tanks. 1 goes down, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 go down. They all completely evaporate, and Medino's army just completely crushed. Now the Zerg army is going to come up as a follow-up attack, and what a throw. GG, well played.
still, the army is very not ideal for Dewalt. Mostly goons, but triple arbiter. This could be the fight he wants. He's also on top of a couple mines. Where's that shuttle going?
Oh, this is. Oh my god, he actually
his own
shuttle,
shuttle.
dude. That is a disaster. But I think Dewalt, despite that, has more than enough here. I mean, kogeT just didn't have enough vultures to support these tanks, and really huge misplay. Just completely kind of caught out of position. But Dewalt's going to get a nice drop here. Probably a couple of Reavers. No, just 2 Reavers actually. It's going to be massive, because even if he doesn't kill a lot of these SCVs, he can just kill the depots. And he does start focus firing these down, and he's going to kill so many depots. It's going to supply block kogeT. He's not actually paying attention. He needs to target down these. Okay, actually, it's because kogeT doesn't even defend. He's just going to go all in here, and this is not going to work out. I mean, he's so far behind supply-wise. Look, he only has 6 tanks. All these goons already in position. They're going to take this fight, completely clean this up, and I think Dewalt's heading to quick 2-0.
Yeah, Dewalt's easily going to clean this up, and it's going to be Dewalt versus Medino, or no, Avilov in the winner's match. Those storms are not the greatest, but now he's on top of half of the production. The Zealot, or the Storm is perfect that time, gets so many
my
Hydras,
god.
and that is probably all that Dewalt needed. He kills half of the Hydras in a single Storm. There's so many goons, but so this is going to be Dewalt taking game 1 with a fantastic counterattack.
He knows this is 5 pull, and actually so far, I mean, the Lings get on top of the Zealot. This is really good from Dewalt. Snap building the pylon there, so suddenly Avilov does not have the choice to kill the pylon. He has to go for the Zealot, but the probes are in time to reinforce, and actually Dewalt's dealing with this really well. You know, oh my god, that was really good from Avilov.
He's going in. He's going to pop down one cannon. There's no storm just yet. That's a lot of Lings. Remember that. And there's only 3 Zealots to actually dish out any damage.
He knows there's no storm. There would have been a storm coming down. You can see Avilov knows. 1 storm goes down, but it hits nothing. Another storm gets completely dodged, and now Avilov, okay, actually a 3rd storm. That's still a lot of Hydras. I think storm is out. 1 storm goes down. Still doesn't another storm goes down. Still not targeting the Templar. Now they're going to morph into the Archon.
This game, there's just simply not enough steam for Avilov. Oh, that's so unfortunate, because he was so close.
Yeah, it was so close, but he had so many Overlords just get killed by that. Of course, there has 7 kills. The Archon also lifting a lot of that weight there. I mean, it's really crazy how much value Archons add to that composition against Hydralisks. And at this point, because Avilov was supply blocked for so long, I mean, he's just going to run out of steam. He is banking a lot of resources, though. He does leave. But I think Avilov is just going to be able to smash this and probably take the win. It's really hard as Terran to win from this position.
Yeah, plus 4 armor is going to kick in probably within the next 30 seconds. Unless there's a medic wall in the front, these ultras are just going to easily bash through. You can see that he's going in now. Plus 3 armor just kicked in. Ling's getting on top of the Marines, so are the ultras. Is there enough? 1 ultra actually falls down, tank falls down, and it seems like Avilov just barely has enough. Yeah, the medics are crazy.
More ultras are coming in.
Yeah, unfortunately, ultras just don't take any damage from Marines. So let's see if kogeT can have a good engagement here. It looks like the Marines are a little bit too far forward. I don't think there's critical mass this time. There's so many ultras trying to get in there. Yeah, I think this has got to be it. There's just way too many ultras. The Radiate's really not helping out this time. GG coming in from kogeT. So this might be kogeT just going for the throat. He's stimming in here. 4 Sunkens are strong. Good muta control at the bottom. I think it's just way too much kogeT. All of the Sunkens are falling. You can see how fast the Mutalisks also fall. And this is going to be kogeT just busting through. Where are the Lings? Did they also get picked off?
Yeah, you just lost all the Mutalisks, and that's going to be it. GG going to come in through now. GG well played by Avilev, and kogeT makes it into the round of 8.
To BSL, we are getting into game 2. It is going to be kogeT versus Ouya at TVP. So finally, we're going to see some TVP action. No TVZ today, but this should be a really good match because Ouya G has impressed quite a bit in the round of 8. kogeT always does really well. So you got any predictions for this particular matchup? I know you played Ouya G yesterday, and that went pretty well for you.
Are you trying to flex for
The
me?
lampshade,
I'm trying to flex for you. Come on.
No. It was I played a couple of games with him, and overall he won more games. But
Oh, you did. I didn't see those. I just saw your Polypoid game, which was pretty strong.
we played 3 games, and he won 2. But they're all pretty close games. He's really strong. I can't believe you're putting me on the spot like that, Nick, and I wasn't even going to talk about that. But Ouya's pretty strong in PvT for sure. I actually think he might have a chance here. Well, I mean, of course he has a chance against kogeT.
BSL 11
But you would
Gogo
expect
helps
kogeT to
support.
be favored in this matchup. And kogeT actually played some really strong games against Dewalt the other day, or in the previous round. And though he did end up losing those, so I think kogeT looks really strong, but we haven't seen him like completely. What I'm getting at is, I don't know. It's hard to predict. I feel like this could actually go either way because Ouya is extremely strong. Is he as strong as Dewalt? I'm not sure, but actually his PvT might be. I'm not sure.
Yeah, for me, it comes down to how much kogeT is practicing. I think kogeT right now looks like he's probably evenish versus Ouya, but if he's been practicing a lot, I would probably favor kogeT a little bit. Not like a ridiculous amount. If they were to play a best of 3, I think it would go 2-1, or if it was a best of 5, go 3-2. You can see on the left side that we do have kogeT with very strong matchups across the board, 60% win rate pretty much versus everything. Meanwhile, Ouya, he's got a 60% win rate versus Terran, and he did very well in the race wars, which is not included in these statistics, but overall he looks very, very solid. I think he was near the 2400 range, so he's really no joke.
No, he's definitely really. I mean, Ouya is like, he was an up and comer, but I feel like, and people were. I mean, no, I'm not gonna say people were making blanket statements like that, but personally, I was waiting for him to prove himself, I guess, in a sense, right? Like everyone's like hyping him up, but is he going to live up to the expectations? And I feel like time and time again, he's delivered, right? Whether it's in the race wars, whether it's getting into the round of 8 here, and time again, he's like slamming people. I mean, he got out of the craziest PvZ, the craziest group of Zerg death ever, with the Gornich, True Touch, and Sziky, and he got out in first place, Nyokin, in a matchup that many people, by default is kind of Zerg favored. He was first place in literally a group with the Prince of BSL, the other top, like basically the assumed, or who people are thinking is the best Zerg player outside of Korea, and Sziky, and then the other basically extremely strong Zerg player outside of Korea is just Gornich, and he completely slammed them. So I mean, versus kogeT in a matchup like PvT, which obviously always PvZ is really good, but because PvT is PvT, I feel like he could easily be favored against kogeT at this point.
Yeah, but kogeT has a really, really strong TVP. So we'll see who's going to be our second winner today. Is it going to be kogeT or Ouya? They've actually decided on Benzene. These players get to pick the maps. It's not just a default map every single time for the first map. So let's see. kogeT versus Oya. First map is going to be Benzene. So in the top right, in the blue, is our Swedish Protoss, eOnzErG.
Bottom left, Polish Terran. In the red, kogeT.
So, you know, not yesterday, the last week I was talking about the polls, how I was a bit surprised that eOnzErG was at the top in that group because, as you're saying, Protoss versus Zerg, traditionally, the Zerg is a bit favored in that matchup. Now, I was looking at the polls this week, too. And I gotta say, I'm a bit sad, BSL viewers, because every single person voted for a Protoss to win these matchups today. They predicted Oya's gonna win this matchup, predicted the next one is gonna be Dewalt versus eOnzErG, predicted Boa's gonna win versus Danny, and predicted that Dewalt's gonna take out Sziky. So really, no one's a believer in the Zerg or Terran races.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's also 4 Protosses. Many of the Zergs fell, many of the Terrans fell in BSL. So I feel like it's kind of warranted. You know, the Protosses have been doing really well. This game, eOnzErG actually going for that proxy gate. And the one thing about this map is that there's really only one location of proxy. And it's...
Now, wait a minute. What? Okay, did he scout this?
Yeah, he did.
No, kogeT scouted the proxy?
Yeah, he had an SCV there already.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it. I must have missed it because I'm just watching him pull 4 SCVs without scouting. I'm like, what's going on? Now, this is something that you can do, but you got to catch it early. And kogeT is pulling the appropriate amount. It's 5, and he instantly cancels. Now, that's kind of a huge deal for eOnzErG because that's a lot of lost mining time that the SCVs could have lost, but instead he's just going to go into a gas steal. So either way, kogeT is going to get punished. But what do you think about this, not letting the gateway get up? And, well, okay, I guess because it doesn't get up, he saves resources. I didn't factor that in.
I mean, I was going to ask you the same thing, Nick, and I'm not sure. You almost, like, I mean, I guess if your gateway is going to go down for sure, maybe you don't even queue a Zealot, though, but if your gateway is going to go down for sure, if he gets an SCV here.
Well, 1, the SCV potentially getting killed, but 2, we've got 2 racks for kogeT, and it comes down to, was eOnzErG paying attention to how many SCVs turn around? Because if he thinks every single SCV came back, he's not going to be suspecting this at all, and he's not, because that is a nexus at the natural.
Yeah, there's a lot of things kogeT could have done here. I mean, well, there's 2 main things. eOnzErG saw that kogeT didn't actually pull SCVs to kill the gas, so you know it's either going to be fast command center, or it's going to be something like this, proxy racks. Now, is eOnzErG going to know that? It doesn't look like he's going to go back and check for a nexus, or he is going to try and get another scout off. And I think as soon as he sees that there's no command center, no, actually kogeT's Marine catches the probe. So eOnzErG, I think he might get caught with his pants down here, and this is possibly the best response kogeT could have had against Oya. Now, in the Protoss perspective of this, there's 2 main options for them to do. It's either to get their gas and get their core, or expand. And gateway expand here should be pretty safe against 1 racks. Like if kogeT chooses to go 1 racks and pull SCVs, that's not going to work against Oya. But with the 2 racks, he's going to have more than enough Marines. So this is going to be really scary. Oya already sending 1 Zealot out, and he sees SCVs being pulled, but he doesn't know that there's no command center.
Yet now, I am hoping that eOnzErG was paying attention to the racks blinking in the main, because if he was really on top of it, he would have known that kogeT was building 5 Marines. Now, why are you building 5 Marines since only 4 can fit in the bunker? So maybe eOnzErG could potentially recognize this, but for now, he has no idea. SCVs catch the Zealot, it's going to instantly get taken down, and eOnzErG is in big trouble.
Yeah, he's going to have to sack this Nexus. I mean, I can't even imagine. The thing is, his core is finished, his Dragoon is making.
He's in
and if he kills the Zealot, that would be really annoying. I mean, the Zealot is going to be useful in a bit here, but I think 100% eOnzErG is going to have to sack his Nexus here. 100% he cannot defend against this. He's going to have to defend against actually losing his entire base. kogeT is expanding behind this. So he's getting his gas. So definitely if eOnzErG actually defends here, I mean, he can't lose these probes for free. He needed to pull them out way before this. He's going to lose 2 probes before losing his Nexus. Now, obviously, the Nexus dying here is like a guarantee. But, you know, if he doesn't lose too many probes, he's behind on probes, which kind of sucks. He's not going to die to this push, though.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to bust up the ramp, I don't think. There's already 1 goon in position, and eOnzErG has 3 gates as a follow-up, so he's going to have a lot of... Oh, well, Zealots get on top of a couple of the Marines. I'm not sure if that bunker is completely loaded up, but for now, Marines and SCVs will not be able to bust up. I think kogeT should save these SCVs and just turn them around.
Yeah.
Because as you were saying, he was up in workers. Now he's just going to even it up. Now, I love this bunker position because he cannot get a good arc onto the bunker unless he runs down all the way to the bottom. Like these goons on the high ground, I think maybe like 3 can attack it. And that's it.
Yeah, the problem is that kogeT lost all his SCVs there, so he's not going to have them available to repair. So even 3 Dragoons is going to be more than enough to eventually kill this bunker. But did you see what I saw, Nyokin? eOnzErG actually went for 3 gates. So, I mean, he's all in, right? Like, he's not going to expand off of this. He's going to just go for a really quick bust onto kogeT's natural. He's basically assuming that kogeT is expanding behind this, which is the correct assumption. He's going to kill this bunker again really fast. Is he though?
Oh, he didn't. Were all 4 of those goons attacking the bunker? I guess they were. Bunker does get busted down, not a huge loss. Now, because kogeT did delay his tech quite a bit, and because he didn't get into the main and see how many goons there are, this one bunker may have a tough time defending. It's going to be like 8 goons. The factory's not done. 7 goons coming across the map. He's going to have to pull so many SCVs. Now, the Rax, unfortunately, doesn't catch the goon count either. So kogeT may actually die. He's going to have to instantly pull everything.
I think kogeT is dead, man. I think it was a big mistake to not instantly get his gas as soon as he killed the gas in his main. He actually expanded before that. And now, I mean, he could repair this bunker if he pulled every SCV right now, but actually, eOnzErG's just going to go straight on top of the bunker. He's blocking some of the surface area from the SCVs not being able to repair it, and if he kills the bunker, it's 5 SCVs against 6 Dragoons here. It's barely going to survive, actually, so big misstep from eOnzErG. I thought for sure he was going to go in there and start sniping the SCVs because he had more than enough time to just basically kill absolutely every SCV that was repairing. Now, 3 more Dragoons are going to reinforce this, so kogeT, I don't know if he's going to be ready for this. There's still no tank out onto the field just yet. Is eOnzErG going for round 2? Again, just straight up focus firing the bunker. This is such ballsy play, but it's going to pay off. He kills the bunker, and now kogeT is in a world of hurt.
Yeah, I thought for sure the first time he was going to bust down that bunker, but second time is the charm, and now the command center is lifted. This is 8 goons. It can definitely take down this command center if he continues to focus fire. And back on the other side of the map, eOnzErG is expanding. Look at that SCV to probe count. It's very even right now, 31 to 31. That's only 1 tank. Protoss is not scared of 1 tank. He can't afford to get this tank caught, and he catches it. Now, there's no defense for kogeT at all, just SCVs. He's scrambling to repair. Now, the command center he's doing a full SCV pull. He knows that he has to hold here. Otherwise, he's dead. 2 fact production. At least he's going to have a couple tanks coming out, but he is in big trouble. Now, there's an 8-worker lead for eOnzErG. eOnzErG should just back off now. He's done so much damage. He's got his Nexus going up. Everything's going well for him.
Yeah, he's in the driver's seat for sure. eOnzErG is. He's so far ahead from that. Look at the supply. 63 supply to 30 supply. And I mean, the reality is, okay, actually hold that thought. eOnzErG is going to try and run up this ramp. He has so many Dragoons. Now he's going to leak a couple, or, you know, lose 4 Dragoons there for free. Really not, you know, that was kind of questionable there from eOnzErG. But the thing is, it is, and I mean, look at the worker count now, 38 to 26. This is nightmare situation for Terran. Now, TVP, Nyokin, I mean, Terran is definitely strong in this matchup, but I'll tell you, by the way,
there we go. That's what I was waiting for. Firebat with stim. Is it being upgraded? I don't think it is. he solved the barracks. So yeah, Stim is almost done. I was gonna say this is one way that you can get back into the game is if Firebat comes out and gets a wipe on the probe line, but it does get scouted, and this is the worst timing for it to get scouted because Stim completed.
That is so unfortunate for kogeT there. Wasted the money on the Stim upgrade, and now look, Oya is going to double expand behind this. And really, as I was saying earlier, TVP is definitely, it's a very strong matchup for Terran. But I'll tell you one situation where it's not. It's when your early game goes this bad. Because when you're at a disadvantage against Protoss, like from the early game, it just snowballs so hard, especially with the SCV count that kogeT has against Oya's probe count. By the time kogeT takes his third base, I mean, Oya is going to be basically maxed out on Arbiters. kogeT's not going to have anything. Just now, he started his armory, we saw. I think it's going to complete in a second here. He's going to start +1, 11 minutes into the game. And he's going to start +1 basically when Oya has already 3 base going. So, I mean, if kogeT wins this game, I mean, I'll believe in it'd be a miracle.
Yeah, just a ridiculous disadvantage for kogeT right now. The only hope for him is to camp it out to 3-2. Now, if I was Oya in this scenario, and of course we see the worker differential, I'm not sure he knows that, but if I knew that I was at this type of lead, I'm taking those mid bases, top middle, bottom middle, because kogeT, what can he do about it? Is he going to try and deny it? I would maybe even think about taking top left, because there's no chance of him to deny that base. And it also forces kogeT to fight for it. He can't just sit there and camp. But instead, we see eOnzErG just taking bases on the right side of the map. I would really have loved to see him take a base on kogeT's side just to punish this Terran for being in such a deficit. Now, kogeT sees the bad news that 4th base is already going up, and that's just going to be a nightmare for him. He knows his only hope is to just camp, but looks like he's going to try and move out, take his 3rd base pretty quickly.
kogeT lost his rack, so now he can't even add more factories. It looks like he's getting ready to add factories, but I'm sure he's going to try and take this 3rd base, as you were saying, Naok, and I agree with you in that kogeT's only chance is to split this map and go into really late game, go into really big upgrades, or hope that Oya suicides a couple of attacks. Because again, I mean, look at the worker count from Oya. kogeT's nowhere, his 3rd is nowhere in sight. He hasn't started it. It's just such a bad position to be in. Scanning into the Protoss's main, he sees the Stargate just now finishes. So Arbiter is still a ways away here, no Tribunal just yet. That's good, that's a good sign for kogeT. But look at this bust. He has no vultures, no mines. Speed lots not yet researched. So, Oya can't bust it quite just yet, I don't think. But this bust is coming, man.
Yeah, Speed Zealot's going to be kicking in very soon. He's on 8 gate. I love how he is getting weapon damage on his air in case somehow kogeT has some miraculous comeback to stabilize the game. At least he's going to already have air upgrades to transition into carriers if he needs to. And I think once there's one more round of Zealots and Speed kicks in, there it is. There's the one round he's waiting for. There's just no way that kogeT can stop it. He's getting doubled in supply. He doesn't have any type of Sim City. I don't see any depot spam to create some type of semi-wall. So more than likely, once this attack comes in, it's just going to be lights out. kogeT sees what's coming. He desperately needs to start building a ton of buildings right now to do anything to prevent these Zealots from getting on top of these tanks. As you're saying, there's no Vultures support. eOnzErG taking a 5th base at bottom middle. He's just playing this perfect.
Yeah, and I mean, again, kogeT, because his factories were delayed there, he's not going to have vultures to defend this. And siege tanks are nuts, but you really need mines and vultures to screen for them. Here comes eOnzErG. He has a bunch of zealots. They're going to lead the charge, get right on top of the tanks. kogeT, look at his target firing, though. Really nicely done, but that's not going to be enough. There's just so many zealots. The zealots themselves just kill the tanks, and that'll be it. I mean, kogeT's probably going to GG here anytime. And Oya is going to go to quick a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, so nicely done from eOnzErG. When he was on the ropes, losing his Nexus, his crisis management was really nice. He ends up going for a counterattack, takes down the bunker, and I thought for sure that it was going to fall the first time, but he was not going to be denied. The second attack ends up sealing the deal, and now kogeT's going to be down 0-1, where he looked like he was in a really phenomenal position with the bunker push, but not able to actually close out the game.
Yeah, and just a couple of weird things there. I mean, I think if kogeT had gotten his gas right away, I mean, he took the time to kill the gas, right? Instead of just going straight for the Nexus. So kill the gas, get your gas first, then put you down your command center. And even Oya kind of almost blew that, because I feel like when he went in to try and kill the bunker, he just like, and I get it, because it's that tournament situation. You want to go for the kill. You want to just, you see your advantage. You want to do it and just kill the Terran. But instead of just killing the SCVs one by one, because he actually had so many Dragoons that basically he would end up killing all the SCVs before even one of his Dragoons died, probably, because there's only really 3 Marines in the bunker. If he just killed all the SCVs, I feel like he would have cleanly gotten through there. The first time it looked like Oya's 3-gate bust almost failed. It took that second time, which was still really close. It was because Oya just didn't kill the SCVs, but he actually got that move done somehow, killed the bunker. And, you know, once that bunker goes down, I mean, the thing is, kogeT also lost his first tank. But, like, after that bust was successful, it literally an impossible situation for Terran to come back, because Oya just double expanded behind it, got his pro count up. So, yeah, really such a weird first game, but really kind of epic management from Oya to not die there.
Well, our second map is going to be on Polypoid, 4-player map, so not likely to see some shenanigans. So let's see if kogeT can bring it back, or is Oya just going to 2-0? So in the bottom right, in the red, it is our Polish Terran, kogeT.
Top left, Swedish Protoss. It is Oyaji from IRK. kogeT himself from... I mean, I don't see kogeT sporting his tag that much, so... But, you know, at least in the BSL thing, it says that he's on Nation Wars, or Nation Wars, Net Wars. And
Yeah, I don't even remember what team he is. Now, I got an idea for you. What do you think if Oya had gone for proxy 2-gate here? I think kogeT may go for something like 14cc. Do you think that could have been possible if kogeT goes for that?
Yeah, I think it's totally possible kogeT goes for command center first. I mean, that we've seen a couple of kogeT series games here recently in just zero related broadcasts, right? Like the BSL broadcast. He does like to just roll the dice here, especially in series situations, but it looks like he's actually going to put down his racks there on the bottom right. So kogeT going to go for a racks expand. And as far as I know, he's not that comfortable with racks expand from hearing him talk about it on his stream recently, but I think probably he must have been practicing it. And unfortunately for him, Protoss is going for a 12 Nexus here. And in general, I mean, 12 Nexus is a pretty strong response to racks expand.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of gasless versus 12 Nexus. Now, of course, you're going to have ridiculous econ, and Terran timings with Tank Vulture Marine comboed together is very strong, but I just have such a hard time in particular versus 12 Nexus. I'm really on the 12 gas train, going into more mine contain, control of the flow of the game that way. So we'll see what kogeT ends up going up or trying to go for, because he is one of the players that does like to go for the 7-fact timing. We've seen him use that on Optimizer. You think that could be something he can use up against going up against kogeT on this particular opener?
Definitely not on Polypoid. And really, Polypoid is what complicates this whole situation. Now, luckily for kogeT, actually, Oya is going for the more safe approach to 2-gate, to 12 Nexus, because he doesn't want to get bunker rushed here. Obviously, Oya doesn't know what kogeT is doing. If kogeT was on something like Factory, like Gas, and tried to pull units to kill the Nexus, he would need something like 2-gate to defend that. But going for 2-gate generally in this situation means you actually cut a couple of probes. So actually kogeT, I think, is going to be just fine here. I think he's going to scout this Nexus and is probably going to be annoyed by it, but the reality is he's going to be ahead in worker count here. So I think for kogeT, that's really good. And the problem on this map really is that you can't really go for timings, which Gasless definitely has, even against 12 Nexus. I mean, we can think about something like the 4 factory push with like 5 tanks, no siege, and just a bunch of vultures rallied. That's generally a really strong opener to go for against a 12 Nexus opening. But because it's polypoid, because you have that high ground to use at your advantage, and in this case, because it's cross spawn, it's just so hard to go for something like that early push or even a 2 base 7 factory push. It's so incredibly hard on this map. And kogeT, because he went gasless, I mean, Starport is a bit harder to use too. I would like to see either him going for a Starport or just getting his expansions up really quick.
Yeah, if I'm playing Protoss and I see gasless expand like this, after this Zealot, that's another Nexus. Because what's Terran going to do? They're going to attack me with 3 Marines? No, I'm not worried at all. So we may see that from eOnzErG in the next couple minutes or a few seconds from now. He's going to have, obviously, map control with the few goons coming out. He's got double gate. He's got range coming in. He could just play standard. He could go into Robotech, could go into some type of fast 2-base, Stargate potentially. Now on the bottom left side of the map, kogeT's SCV is over there. So we may see a hidden expansion potentially.
Yeah. It looks like it now. I do like kogeT's build in general. He's getting that second gas really early because he knows he doesn't have to, like, he just has so many resources, and he's getting his armory like at 445. The problem with polypoid is that your natural third base, which usually is the high ground base, is a mineral only base. So going for a really quick upgrade style like this is really hard to support. So I would like to see kogeT take 6 o'clock in this situation. But if he manages to take 6 o'clock in a decent time here, I actually really do like his position. He's ahead in worker count. I think overall, despite eOnzErG opening with a 12 Nexus here, this is a really good spot for kogeT. Like, the builds look really good for him.
Yeah, really nicely done to keep his worker count ahead of the probe count for Protoss. But because eOnzErG is going for this more goon-heavy type of play without taking a fast third base or going into really fast tech, this is going to be a good counter to what kogeT is doing, because we see that he is going for speed vultures with mines. So he's looking to get some harassment done. But with the amount of goons that eOnzErG already has out, I don't think he's going to find really much success. Now, of course, that's not a huge deal to kogeT since he already has his econ pretty much rolling. He's already got his weapon upgrade going. He hasn't had to build turrets anywhere to, not optimize his build in the early stages. He's still going to be fine, but he definitely would like to get some damage done with these vultures. Now, this is interesting. We've got support bait. Oh, he just barely misses the Citadel, and that's a huge miss, because you really want to know, is this going to be 2 gate or 2 base arbiter, or is this just going to be standard support bay play?
Yeah, I mean, that is really unfortunate for kogeT, but he's going to get these vultures out onto the map. You can see that eOnzErG decided to keep most of his dragoons back at his base in case that there were any kind of drops here. kogeT going to put down some mines, actually taking a lot of shots from these dragoons. Going to lose 2 vultures. No, just 1 vulture there, so could be worse. And he's going to get these vultures out onto the map. Importantly, it's going to allow him to scout the fact that eOnzErG does not have a third base here. And if he does not have a third base, then it definitely narrows the Protoss's options. But kogeT didn't go for that 12 o'clock with the scout. So I don't know if he's actually going to be able to establish exactly what eOnzErG is on. Unfortunately, look, Oya, so smart, moves his Zealot and Dragoon into position. kogeT cannot get timing onto that third Nexus, so he's going to have to probably use a scan. And, every scan that you use is super important at this point, because that could be a scan. Oh, actually, he does see the Nexus from that side, so never mind. That's really good for kogeT. And at this point, it looks like kogeT is looking to take his mineral only if that is a command center building at the top left part of his base. The Reaver here is going to come out, and eOnzErG is going to be taking up to arbiters behind this, I think.
It should be fast arbiter tech. 3rd and 4th factory coming in. That's got to be a command center going down for kogeT. Now, as a Terran player, when you go for vulture harassment like that and not find any success, you're not feeling really good at all, especially when playing versus a 12 Nexus. But luckily for kogeT, he did go for the gasless, so his econ is rolling. Look at the worker count, dead even right now. Reaver coming in to the bottom side of the map, and I think that's one of the places that I don't see a turret. In fact, I don't see turrets really anywhere, and with the tanks sitting on the high ground, this could deal a lot of damage.
Yeah, this is disastrous, and he didn't get a Goliath. He didn't get any Goliaths here, so actually he's going to take a lot of damage from this Reaver. Here comes the big shot. How many kills? 1 kill so far. A lot of... oh my god, that was like a nuke going off into the kogeT's mineral line. He got so many SCVs there, and now suddenly kogeT is only on 49 SCVs, and the problem is he has no anti-air like you were saying, Nyokin, so even if he doesn't lose... if he loses... That was another big shot. How many kills does this Reaver have? kogeT went from 49 SCVs to 39 SCVs. That was massive. I think that Reaver probably has like 20 SCV kills, and you know, even I was gonna say, even if he doesn't lose SCVs, he's losing so much time ferrying his SCVs back and forth. But that was massive.
Yeah, that was legitimately almost 20 SCV kills on a single Reaver. It forces out a Wraith too, so that's completely wasted supply for kogeT. Nothing going well for him. And remember, he missed the tech of eOnzErG. He has no idea that this is a fast Arbiter follow-up. Okay, it seems he did scan a second time. So regardless, kogeT is in big time trouble. Now, he did continue to upgrade very quickly. I saw that he had double armory already going, so at least he's got that going for him. And at least it is polypoid, where he will have access to bottom middle relatively easy. He will have access to top or mid right pretty easily. And 5 base Terran, if they can get there, is going to be really strong. But we know that eOnzErG is going to max out extremely fast. We know that the Arbiter is going to be coming extremely fast too. So this attack that I think is going to be coming within the next minute and a half, I don't know if kogeT can really stop it now that everything has been stalled. Look at his factory count. It's at 4. It's at 10:30 into the game. When you go gasless, you're looking to have like 8-9 factories at this point.
Yeah, the other problem though, Nyokin, is that he did take this mineral only with his 3rd command center instead of 6 o'clock. So, I mean, even if he stabilizes his mineral econ, at some point he's going to be bottlenecked by his gas income, having gone for this really heavy upgrade style and tech style, which really is dependent on gas. You really want that fast 3rd gas available to you. So I mean, but the damage he took from that one Reaver drop, I mean, that costs nothing for eOnzErG. I mean, the reality is, yeah, Oya probably did delay his 3rd and 4th Nexus slightly because he had to invest into getting the shuttle and the Reaver early. Generally, 12 Nexus can actually get away with teching to Arbiters and taking a 3rd base with a decent amount of gateways. But in this case, his 3rd base, 4th base, a bit slower, but who cares, because he killed 20 SCVs earlier. So, like, that was just absolutely massive damage. You can see it play out in the supply count here. Generally, obviously, if you're gasless, you don't want to be around 113 supply at 11 minutes. You're actually around 130, 140 at this point. But at the same time, Oya doesn't look like he's going to hit an 11-minute max timing here, or 12-minute max timing with Stasis and Arbiter. I wonder, actually, he almost has energy for Stasis. I wonder what he researched. If I look at the production tab there, it's not clear.
I can't believe the luck. Okay, he did barely see it, but I don't think he really did see it. Arbiter moving across the map, and just like we saw earlier, there was lack of turrets for the Reaver, and because he missed the Arbiter timing, I think, for quite a while, he shouldn't really expect that the recall is going to be coming anytime soon. Look at the top side of kogeT's base. There's 1 turret. Arbiter doesn't care about 1 turret. They don't even care about 5 turrets. If he gets in here, does the dropship see it? Of course not. It's just nothing going right for kogeT.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it, Naok. And sometimes the games just don't go your way. Like, it doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter how you're playing. It doesn't matter how your opponent's playing. Sometimes it's just not your day. And kogeT missing a lot of stuff just through pure unluckiness. Now, this is one way for kogeT to get back into the game, though. It's for a botch recall. And he should know something is up because, generally, if Protoss goes for that Stasis and their plan is to go for Stasis and to bust you, it would have hit by now. But because Protoss is being so passive, I'm sure he must assume something or suspect something is coming. His 4th base is so late, though. He does see the Arbiter there. Yeah, okay, so he's actually reacting, but he doesn't have a vessel. He doesn't have EMP. This recall is going to go off.
Yeah, recall is going to get into the main. He's going so deep, and there's no mines. He's going to land on 1 mine. And now the goons instantly run to the back line trying to find these armories. There was a mine in the back there, but it's not going to be enough to dissuade these 5 goons. And that's going to be our weapon going down. He just instantly cancels it. Bottom right armory isn't even upgraded either. Now, what I'd like to see eOnzErG right now is try and attack somewhere else. He's already drawing so much of the attention back into the main of Terran. Meanwhile, kogeT is taking bottom middle, so as long as he doesn't take game-ending damage, he's still going to be in an okay position. It is still 4 base versus what looks to be 5 base eOnzErG, but losing those 2 armories, that's a big win for eOnzErG.
Yeah, I mean, that is absolutely massive, especially if the Terran upgrades didn't finish. But because it's 14 minutes and because his initial armory was that fast, I mean, I'm assuming that was 3-2 upgrade. Was it 2-1? If it was his 2... Okay, so it does have 2-1. So it was only... I mean, the thing is, it's totally unfortunate that he can't finish 3-2 at a really good time here, because he had his first army was so early into the game, was at like 4:45. So obviously that was a massive win for eOnzErG, but it could have been a complete disaster if kogeT didn't have 2-1. I mean, this game would be completely over. Now, you know, kogeT still has 2-1. eOnzErG, he does like to go for carrier tech switches in the late game if he sees that the Terran is kind of stabilizing and in a good spot. But I feel like because he feels like he's actually putting a lot of pressure onto kogeT, he knows the expansion timing here for kogeT is not that great at his 4th base. I think he's going to stay on this Arbiter tech. He's going to keep making units. Look at his bank. He's close to 4,000 minerals. I would like to see him take another expansion like in one of the corners. But besides that, he's going to be able to quickly remax here. And I feel like he's going to try and bust here into kogeT's natural, or he's looking for another recall. I'm not quite sure just yet.
Yeah, eOnzErG has a big bank. We know that he should have multiple arbiters, maybe 3 or 4. But with the lack of expansions, it looks like top right is finally being taken. As a Terran player, when I am in this particular scenario where it's 4 base versus 5 base, and Protoss hasn't taken other mains and hasn't really obligated me to attack, I'm not feeling that scared despite having a really poor early and mid game. You know,
this is a lot of Goliaths.
He's going to kill that Arbiter for free. Now, just like in the game versus you that I watched the other day, eOnzErG has put the fleet beacon at top middle, so that's going to be carriers coming out pretty soon, and kogeT more than likely not going to scan up there, and he's just going to think that this is just going to be continued Arbiter play. So if he can get up to critical mass 6-8 carriers, he could completely catch kogeT off guard. But as played, game has stabilized. Sure, there's 3,000 extra minerals for eOnzErG, but the tank count has not been dwindled down at all. So kogeT, if he goes for a push, it's going to be ridiculously strong.
I do wonder if kogeT actually scanned that fleet beacon, because he does have a ridiculous amount of Goliaths, or if that was just kind of a... It's very weird here. Now, the problem with carrier switching here is that I mean, it does usually put Terran on a clock, because you don't want Protoss to be able to get up to 8 carriers with full econ on the map. But at the same time, you know, eOnzErG does not have the supply to do it, so he's going to have to attack here to free up some supply to actually start making carriers. And, you know, if you attack into the Terran, they're already set up. That's not going to be a good trade for you. But again, kogeT not quite at 3-2. Looks like eOnzErG is going for a recall. He's going to scoot in here in between the turret, the Goliath, and actually I think he's going to be able to recall kogeT's natural, and he gets it off. But I mean, this is not going to do that much damage. One Arbiter with it, though, with a massive stasis on top of the Goliaths. It's not tanks, but that's a lot of units. He kills both armories, and now it's massive that he's killing both armories. But the important part here is that he successfully got a recall off, that it doesn't seem like it's going to be cleaned quite as quickly as kogeT would want. If he kills his command center, that would be massive. But this is buying so much time for eOnzErG to build carriers.
Yeah, and he again has nullified +3 weapon, gets the command center too. Now eOnzErG does have his top right mining denied a little bit, but that does free up the supply. that you're talking about. And now kogeT back at bottom left is trying to hide a base. He's got to do something desperate. He's got 3 Stargate carriers. First one's already out. So he's going to be up to 7 or 8 carriers very, very quickly. And now kogeT has to do something. He can no longer just sit. +2 weapon is strong, but +3 is game changing as a Terran player. So he needs to go right now, start getting control of the game, try and deny top right at least, because he knows bottom left is not taken. So again, eOnzErG is still only essentially on 5 base right now.
Yeah, and this is just such a hard spot to be in as Terran. It's just so stressful fighting against a bunch of carriers, and exactly like you said, Nyokin, he just doesn't have the upgrades. Like, the armory is getting canceled over and over. It means he's not gonna have 3-2 anytime soon. And at least when you have 3-2 Goliaths, they can just sit there and shoot down interceptors for days. And as long as you're not getting stormed or anything, your army's not going to die, because the carriers can't actually do damage when their interceptors get shot. You know, many people don't know this, but if the interceptors take a certain amount of damage, they actually fly back into the carrier, as your video can eloquently taught us. But they actually fly back into the carrier and don't do that much damage. They don't actually start doing damage at all. So you know, but the thing is, kogeT does not have those upgrades. He's going to come in here for a push. I think he knows something is up, because usually when the Protoss isn't going carriers, he's just going to take the fight here. But he's playing so passive. Now he sees the carriers with the lingering vision from that scan. I wonder if he was actually looking at it. He does have a decent amount of Goliaths with his force. Is it enough to deal with 4 carriers? I'm not sure. He is making more Goliaths, so he definitely knows that there's carriers out on the map. And you can see he's taking a couple of bases. But at this point, it's so hard. He's gonna actually deny top right for free with only a couple of vultures, and that's a big misplay there from eOnzErG. But still, it's going to be hard. I mean, kogeT is doing what he needs to do to get back into this game, though.
I still like kogeT's position, because that's Reaver's not going to do anything, and he has so many tanks. He's also got less workers, so his army value is a bit higher. But now eOnzErG striking while kogeT's a little out of position. None of the units are siege. Storm, where is it? He needs a storm. So impactful when comboed with carriers, but the carriers are not at critical mass. But look how many goons there are. There's no zealots. So if the tanks can get off some good shots, this army should be wiped out, and that's exactly what has happened. eOnzErG is going to have to turn around, but because of such a big bank, he's going to be able to pump out even more and more carriers, and the carrier count is the real threat now.
Yeah, this is the problem. I mean, kogeT's going to probably win these engagements for a while, because, again, eOnzErG has so much supply clogging up his carrier production. His ground army is huge, but, like, the thing is, once Protoss gets to, like, a ridiculous amount of carriers and has the econ to just continuously make interceptors and has bases on both sides of the map, like, the problem here for Oya is that he doesn't have top right. He needed to secure that, and he's not going to be able to secure that, and it's going to be hard for Oya to actually run around the map and kill kogeT's bases at mid right, for example, at bottom left. But he is going to have a ridiculous amount of carriers, as we see, like, 5 or 6 more carriers in his main. Yeah, that's 6 carriers there. 2 more on the way, 3 more on the way. So these carriers, wherever they go, they're going to be killing bases, right? They're going to be killing bot left. They're going to be killing mid right, whatever they choose to do. Now, is kogeT going to be able to actually kill mid left from eOnzErG or 12 o'clock? I don't know, but that's definitely what kogeT needs to do. And now he's going to get a bunch of his tanks caught off here.
Yeah, and the Goliath count doesn't seem to be super strong. Unloading these Templars, that's a nice storm on top of those tanks. There's a few more, but not able to get any other storms off. Now, if eOnzErG does manage, or if kogeT does manage to take this game from eOnzErG, it's going to come down to him simply not taking top right. Carrier gets sniped there, and sure, the bank is at 5k, but remember, kogeT has bottom left up and running. He snuck a command center over there. So really, it's 6 base versus 5. There's a bit of advantage, but with the high ground here, carriers are going to trade so effectively. I think by now, the Goliath should be at +3 weapon. Okay, you can see that it's still +2, but that's another carrier following, and those are big wins for kogeT.
Yeah, he's killing a lot of these carriers, but the thing is, his tanks are totally out of position here. No support for them, so eOnzErG with his ground army is going to clean this up, and now he's going to have Dragoons supporting these carriers, and that was such a sick move from Oya. Baited most of that support, ground support, away from the tanks, and now he's going to come in, clean up everything that kogeT had at that position, and now he's going to join his two armies together. So the carrier is going to have the ground support needed to zone away chasing Goliaths, but unfortunately he's still losing a bunch of carriers here, kind of I think paying too much attention to his macro back home. Only 2 carriers out on the field, but again, kogeT, look at his supply, 117, 115, going back up to 120, so around the 120 mark. But the problem is, this game is so close now. I mean, Oya still has a bank. He's still making carriers out of 3 Stargates, which is insane. But at the same time, he's on limited resources.
Yeah, OUG's done it. Just look at the non-stop blue moving across the map. There's too much ground at this point. There's carriers coming too. Sure, there's not that many. It's still just 4. But there's just so much from OUG. He's now reached critical mass, whereas kogeT is struggling to hit critical mass. 110, that's not what you want to see. Usually Terran starts hitting a breakpoint around 150 supply. But if he does manage to stabilize, it is still 5 base for him, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like this is going to be over. I mean, once the Protoss is at 180 supply, Terran's at 90 supply, he's going to lose mid-right to the contingent of Protoss ground troops here. And the thing is, kogeT still has bottom left mining. He still has 6 o'clock mining, and OUG is only on 5 base, like never really established top right. But it doesn't really matter because he still has a bank, he still has gas income, so he's still making carriers, he's still making interceptors, he's still making units. Look, he's maxed, and he still has resources. So this looks like it's going to be a nice 2-0 victory here for OUG.
Yeah, I think the supply gap is just too much to overcome. If it was something like 130 or 140, I would still think kogeT does have a chance, because if we look at the mini-map, OUG's mined out in main, nat, third, mineral only is basically gone too. Really, he's only on 1.5 base mining, but it's just too much to overcome. kogeT taps out, so it's going to be OUG taking a 2-0 win over one of our Terran hopes in the tournament, kogeT.
Yeah, I mean, surprising result or not, I don't know. I mean, those games where it was weird, right? I mean, the one Reaver, the shuttle harass from Oya put him in such a phenomenal position, like such an insane position, just from that one Reaver killing like 20 SCVs. And the first game, he kind of just busted that bunker. So, did he completely outplay kogeT in that series? Who knows? But at the end of the day, he did win in a pretty convincing manner. Unfortunate for kogeT, probably not the games that he was hoping for. And we were talking about how kogeT, he barely missed the Arbiter going in for the recall. He barely missed some of the scans. Like, just things did not seem to line up for him. And Oya just got that 2-0. But again, a group of Zerg death, Oya gets first place. Playing against kogeT, Oya goes 2-0. You can't really, I mean, in the race wars, Oya all kills. At this point, you can't really deny his results. So, I mean, I don't think this was a surprising result in retrospect.
Yeah, OUG looking really good. Everything going well for him. And remember, he's had the Reaver with 20 kills in the mid game. Just an insane amount of damage that one Reaver did. And he capitalized by taking 5 bases, getting all of his, tech up and running. And it's just too much for kogeT to overcome. Sniping the armories were obviously game-changing too. So kogeT is going to fall 2-0, but despite everything that happened, he still stabilized. He still had a chance in that game. He denied 6 base from Protoss for a long time. So it's not like I think that kogeT is not going to have a good showing versus other opponents. He looked very good, but for now is going to fall versus OUG. So that's going to wrap up our second game of the day. Our third game of the day is going to be Dewalt versus eOnzErG. So we're finally going to get to see a Zerg matchup. But before we go into that, we are going to go into another quick break, and then we'll be back. Maelstrom right there catching all the Mutalisk. But look at the supply. There's a 35 supply lead for OUG, and TrueTouch is not using his whole army. So he is going to get pushed back right now. If he goes straight to the 4th base, I think he has a shot at busting it.
He has observers. He has a bunch of goons, but just no storm to work with, and he's going to try and find another opening here. Gets a nice 6 storm onto those lurkers, kills the lurkers instantaneously, and this is actually a really good fight for eOnzErG. That was a sick Maelstrom, but no storm to follow it up, no DPS onto those units, but he is actually buying a lot of time for his units to kill the rest of True Touch's army, and I think it's really close here. Still, True Touch, because there's no storm, is able to basically push eOnzErG back.
Yeah, 120 supply versus 90, but Hydras are just so good. There's no storm either, so that's a great storm in the back, and that's going to completely wipe these Hydras. And now it's 4 base versus 4 base. I didn't see a high for True Touch either, so he's still stuck on Lair Tech. He's down 50, so he just GG's out. He realizes that he cannot come back from a 4 base or a 4 base versus 4 base with that type of comp. So he taps out, and eOnzErG ends up making it into the winners match, taking out somebody that consistently makes it to the finals of BSL. He's not building Lings, he's not getting speed. What looked like should be a good counter, despite taking the on location 3rd base, he's gonna get decimated by these Zealots. Half of his production is on the right side. This is 5 Zealots. How is this happening? He's broke too. It's not like he can build more Lings out of whatever's larva he has available. This is it. He's not mining.
Yeah, game's over. I mean,
he does have speed.
Yeah, he does have speed, but he built that lair and now canceled the lair. But the thing is, his 3rd hatchery's already finished.
Pool's about to die. Oh my gosh. I can't believe it. Moving on to the high ground now. Defilers are out. We saw no Defilers yesterday. I'm glad to see them mixed in this time. Now, what's in that shuttle? If there's Reavers in here, it looks like it's just going to be a harassing shuttle, probably. But this is kind of an awkward position because eOnzErG, he can get surrounded 360. Now, that's an amazing storm.
Oh my God.
So many drones. Look at the supply plummet for Sziky, but that's where are the lurkers? They're completely out of position on the right side, but this is a base that's almost mined out. This is not super important to Zerg. What's important is the right side, so he's going to try and save the majority of these drones, going to intercept the storms, and all of them are going to get wiped out. But look at the supply. It's even supply. Okay, now that could be a game changer. Reaver mixed in with Storm. Combo that with Zealots in the front. But it just seems like there's just too much Zerg.
Maybe, if Oya establishes bottom right here, I mean, he's going to win this game. Still, look, so much Zerg red units coming down. This is exactly what I was expecting to see. You really just want to keep flooding the Protoss at this point. You should be perpetually maxed, perpetually sending a bunch of Lings, and finally, okay, Sziky finds the engagement he was looking for. All he needs to do is just macro it up, and eOnzErG GG's. Such a sick game from both these players. Sziky actually manages to tie it up, but kind of a scare there late game. I mean, he was struggling to end that game.
Well, there's an Archon sitting there. Archon does a lot of damage. Nice split by Sziky there to minimize the amount of damage, but a few mutas do end up falling. DT doing work in the main, and unlike in the True Touch game, still no 3rd base for eOnzErG. So despite having the crazy opener, he's not able to get the 3rd base simply because he keeps getting his Stair count reset, and the entire drone line gets wiped, and Sziky has no idea. I love how he focuses down the larva too.
So now he's going to get punished by eOnzErG pushing in here, and eOnzErG, again, his macro is insane. He has a 3rd base going, a bunch of gates. Even though he doesn't have Storm, I mean, this is so many Protoss units and so few Zerg units.
I think he's done it.
Yeah.
Where's the supply? Even though there's no Templar, if Protoss just consistently rallies across the map, there's a lot of goons, there's a ton of Zealots, there's just an overwhelming amount of units, and eOnzErG is on the brink of taking Sziky out and moving into the round of 8 in 1st place.
I think Sziky is probably going to GG anytime soon, and we're going to have Oya come out of this group in 1st place.
He still can't deal with the goons. He still can't deal with the Zealots. Look at the supply now. Doubling the supply. GG.
Here comes Gornish.
Yeah, Ling's getting on top of that Sunken. The bottom Sunken is not done yet. No Mutalisk out, but Ziki's Concave is amazing. Lings are attacking the hatchery for no reason. He's gonna, I think, give up the natural. Behind this, oh, maybe not. Okay, actually, Gornish just flat out has too many lings. And this is all or nothing for Gornish because there's no evolution chamber. This is just make or break. He's just going for the Hail Mary play. Muta's still not out. There's no more lings, only 2 popping out, 2 more from the natural. He's wiping drones. He's gotten to pop down 2 or 3 right there. None of those larvae were Mutas.
Possibly, but there's just so many more lings coming in for Gornish here.
Yeah, but with the Spire going down, what is Gornish afraid of? He's got the Spore to defend versus Muta. There's only 3 drones left for Sziky, and those should be eliminated right now. Down to 1 drone. He doesn't even have the money to build another one, so that's it. And that's going to be Sziky tapping out. Gornish taking a very quick win with this very, very sneaky 3-hatch play.
Gornish coming in here with the Mulus and the Lings. Lings getting on top of the other Lings. The Sunkens are building behind. Really all he has to do is kill the Sunken of Sziky. And actually I think Gornish is going to do it because look, he still has a bunch of Lings. He has the Mulus here to support. And he's done it, Nyokin. I mean, the Sunkens are going to come up here. They're not in range of the hatchery is the only problem. And momentarily, actually, Sziky, his Spire is going to finish here. So he's going to be able to get his own set of Mutalisks. And Gornish bled a couple of Mutalisks there from the Spores. And he's not actually making more Mutalisks. So only 2 Mutas left for Gornish. Sziky is making a bunch of Mutas. I think he hasn't spent his gas. If he would make Mutas here, he would instantly win. The Scourge are coming out. They're going to kill these 2 remaining Mutalisks. Despite getting sunken rushed here, he's going to defend.
Yeah, he just has too much in the air. The Mutas are going to clean up the Lings. Gornish sacked 2 drones to make that happen. And GG coming out.
This timing is razor thin here. Gornish coming in with a bunch of Lings, and look at this concave from Sziky, baiting him into this nice patient play though from Gornish, because he's gonna kill that Sunken for free before the Lings actually engage. But just so many red Lings on this map. I don't know if Gornish has enough. It looks like Southside he loses, Northside. And now the Lings are gonna come in here and deny this natural. He just has so many Lings now. That's probably gonna be morphed into a Sunken. But just look at how many Lings Sziky has. He's gonna overpower Gornish's defense at his natural. And Gornish, despite trying to stabilize this game and go for a 3rd base, GG. Sziky pulls that one out of the hat. Just an impeccable play from him. Completely smacks down Gornish's attempt at tomfoolery there. And he will be getting out of this group in 2nd place.
Welcome back to BSL, the round of 8. We've gotten through 2 of the matches today, and now for all you Zerg lovers, we're finally going to get some Zerg action. It is going to be, I think I said it is Dewalt versus eOnzErG. So 2 Titans going up against each other. eOnzErG always looks very strong, and Dewalt has something to prove because in the past few seasons, not going as far as we both think he really could. So what do you got, or what are your predictions for this particular matchup? We've seen Protoss so far, 2 victories. Everybody in the polls also think Protoss is going to win throughout the day. You think eOnzErG can take down Dewalt?
Yeah, he can.
I also think he can. I think eOnzErG. I actually think eOnzErG is like slight favorite versus Dewalt, even though Dewalt looks really good. I just like eOnzErG in this particular matchup. So I'm hoping that these games are good, but Dewalt has looked very nasty in all of our previous rounds and in the race wars. So maybe he's just going to plow through like the rest of the Protoss we've seen today.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, eOnzErG can do a bunch of stuff, right? Like this guy, he plays aggro as all heck. But he can also play a really solid macro game. And I think in general in CVP, he does play solid macro games, but it wasn't him that... Was it eOnzErG? Didn't eOnzErG play Dewalt in the round of 16? Like, he all in Dewalt, right? Or was that Bonyth? Oh, it was Bonyth. Okay. Yeah, with the big lurker play. Remember that, Nyokin? In
Yes,
on
that was
Opt
pretty sick.
on what Eclipse. So that's the thing. Like, but then he also played really strong macro games against Bonyth. Now Bonyth still too strong for that. But I mean, eOnzErG can do it all. Honestly, I mean, he's a really strong player. He plays a lot. He practices a lot. You know, he went to Korea, practiced there. Dewalt also did the same, right? Like, so both players are just nuts. I'm surprised you think eOnzErG is favored here. I still think Dewalt's favored, but we'll have to see.
Protoss players these days have gotten a lot better versus Zerg. If we had gone back 6 months ago, it almost felt like Protoss was helpless, just the way that Zergs were dominating them. I still like eOnzErG slightly more, but Dewalt has done really well. All the Protoss players have been impressive lately, including who we just saw, eOnzErG. And if we look at the profiles here, I mean, it speaks for itself. It's like 65% win rate for eOnzErG, 65% win rate basically for Dewalt. Just insane statistics. The worst matchup for Dewalt is PVZ, whereas surprisingly versus Protoss is the worst matchup for eOnzErG too, but it's just barely 64% to 66%. Now our first map is going to be Eclipse. So we've already saw eOnzErG pull out some very cool builds versus Bonyth on here, and we saw Dewalt pick apart a lot of players on this map. So this should be an exciting matchup to start us off into our third series.
Brainiac18 tipped $10. Thank you to everybody who makes BSL possible. Love waking up and watching Brood War.
So in the top right, in the blue, on Bombastic Eclipse, it is Dewalt.
And bottom left, eOnzErG.
Mihai, do you think it's possible we can see some type of mind game like we saw in the Bonyth game where eOnzErG went for that really sick drone pull to the natural to make it seem like he's going for a macro game? Or do you think he's just going to play straight up?
I don't know.
You have no idea. I think ZVP is kind of an unfortunate matchup for, well, as I'm thinking about it more, I was going to say unfortunate matchup for somebody like eOnzErG who likes to be aggressive, but of course ZVP you can go for Hydra play, but you know, in ZVT, when you play as Zerg, you can be hyper aggressive with Lings, you know, draw Terran out of position and then really punish them if they lose a lot of Marines. Whereas in the early game, I guess, if you want to be aggressive as Zerg, Protoss is just going to be responding with a lot of cannons. But let's see what Dewalt is going to go for. He does send out his second probe pretty quick, so this looks like it's going to be gate expand. Oh.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be gate expand, but he's putting on a forge, so it's going to be forge expand. Forge expand for Dewalt, surprisingly. And in, you know, continuing the discussion that you're having with respect to Zerg being hyper aggressive, I mean, I think they can definitely be hyper aggressive. In yeah, he actually dodges the Overlord, so he might go for a cannon rush here.
Yeah, this was an intended cannon rush if there was going to be a hatchery here, so that's why he put down the fast forge. Now I'm trying to look at the map to see if he had canceled the forge, but I don't think he did. He is just going to let it
that would be insane, dude.
Yeah, that'd be crazy if he's like, oh, there's no hatchery, I'm going to cancel it. So he does just build it slightly faster, but this was an intended cannon rush, I think. Now,
well, I mean, it's a catch-all, right? Like, you see the hatchery there, you put down the cannon, and if you don't, then you 13 Nexus here, and you have the forge to make cannons versus the pool. So,
yeah, it's perfectly fine, but a lot of the players these days would delay the forge just slightly. But as played, not a big deal. eOnzErG not going to get punished for going at 12 Nexus this time, or 12 hatch this time. We do see that there is no gas just yet for eOnzErG, so this looks like it's going to be a third base going at mid left. I think that is a drone over there.
Looks like it. There's no other base to take, really. I mean, unless he's crazy and takes the 6 o'clock, but or maybe even top left. Yeah, that would be crazy. But The problem with opening Forge expand, again, going back to this idea of Zerg being hyper aggressive and eOnzErG in general, he's aggro, but again, in ZVP, I feel like he tends to be a bit more macro oriented. But when you open Forge first, you really open yourself up to a lot of aggro plays because you don't have the Zealots pressuring the Zerg and giving you all that information. Now, with the Forge first, you can get a core out faster. Generally, your tech is much faster, so your Corsair comes in much faster, so you can scout in that sense. You can scout earlier than a gate expand, but usually a lot of the Zerg like super aggro builds hit before the Corsair. Now I wonder if he saw that layer, because if he had seen that layer, that was massive information for Dewalt, because he's only seen 2 Lings and just a bunch of drones with lair that would basically confirm that eOnzErG isn't going for anything aggressive. But if he didn't see that layer, still, I'm not quite sure that Dewalt knows what's going on. Like, you can see he's getting his second gas already, so his core is probably halfway done, more than that. He's going to get a Stargate soon. First Zealot pops out, and it looks like because he's sending it out so early, I think he thinks that eOnzErG actually is not doing anything aggressive, and mostly from having scouted so many drones with his probe.
Yeah, we can see that Dewalt ended up going into fast gas at his natural. So as you're saying, he's expecting there not to be aggressive play, and this is going to be a Sair opener. And if eOnzErG had have gone for the 973 style, going to the Hydra play, this would have been a really good build versus what Dewalt's going for, because we know that a lot of the Protoss players these days want to get more mineral based, be more mineral based, pump out a lot of Zealots, but going for the fast tech, it's going to be a Citadel. The Zealot went unscouted, and Lings are moving across the map. And we've already seen how much damage Dewalt can do with a couple Zealots, all over the place. So we'll see if he can go for a double-pronged attack at mid-left and at bottom middle at the same time. I see that there is no second Zealot on the left side of the map. There is still just one sitting and waiting.
Jackie tipped $20. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater beside the white
here
chickens.
Is about to be done. Still only on Dewalt is on 1 cannon, so he has a really good read this whole game on what eOnzErG is doing. And in PvZ, that's the most important part of the early game. Gets 1 drone for free there. That's going to be really good for him. Now, this isn't the most impactful timing to be killing drones, but it's definitely not something that... Wow, actually, eOnzErG just now noticed that 1 Zealot, and it got 3 kills. So 3 drone kills, maybe a 4th drone. Nope, saves that one, but that is massive amount of damage. Now, the thing is, it's not as game-ending as like it would be in getting these kills really early on, because you can see eOnzErG's already on 3 hatcheries, his 4th hatchery is coming, so he can definitely replace those drones much more easily than he would have in the early game. But definitely, this is setting Dewalt up beautifully. You can see that, because he has the Zealot inside of eOnzErG's base, he sees the drone count, gets another drone, and then more drones here at the 3rd. So behind this, Dewalt basically does not have to get any cannons. He's probably putting down all his gateways. He has 2 Corsairs out. I don't think they killed any Overlords just yet, but this is going to allow Dewalt to basically get a lot of his infrastructure up before he puts down cannons, and that means he's going to have some sick tempo heading into the mid game.
And we see those 4 gates, or soon to be 4 gates, going up for Dewalt at the standard 6:30 timing. Sair count is starting to get decently large. It's at 3 right now. The Hydras are out of position. There's only 1 for defense, and there are 5 Overlords here. eOnzErG is going to get massively supply blocked unless those are Hydras pumping out, which they are not. So eOnzErG, this is a catastrophe for him. This counterattack he's going for has to deal a lot of damage, but unfortunately, DT's already out, and I think this just might be the beginning of the end for eOnzErG.
Yeah, and that's kind of... I hate to say it, but that was an eOnzErG move there for sure. He got flustered with the early Zealot pressure, and instead of keeping his Hydras back at base and just stabilizing his econ as you should before you get into the mid game, get that 5th hatchery going. You can see he doesn't even have a 5th hatchery. He's supply blocked. He just gunned for Dewalt's natural, but Dewalt, of course, he's not like... Dewalt's one of the best players, including even with Koreans, right? One of the best StarCraft players in the world. So like, he already had cannons in position, and he knew he cleared out all the Overlords, so he just made DTs, and that was enough to defend that. Now, round 2 of this eOnzErG attack is going to come. Now, is Dewalt going to have enough to defend. He's going to supply block eOnzErG once again. These Corsairs, again, Dewalt is so good at keeping his Corsairs active and finding kills here. The Dewalt, or with the Dark Templar in conjunction, there's still detection though, and eOnzErG is just going to go for the bust. That's what I was wondering, is Dewalt going to have enough to defend the second wave, and it looks like he hasn't.
There's no speed on these Zealots either. Templar are out, but there's a storm, and he does blanket the majority of the Templars, and what looked like was going to be a game-winning attack potentially with this small Hydra ball ends up getting cleaned up. Hydra's or Archon's going to pop, but well, maybe the Archon will end up surviving, but for now the probes are going to deal with these Hydras, and because of all the damage that eOnzErG took, he's not able to reinforce in time. Zealot now has speed, but there are no cannons left.
Yeah, there are no cannons. I think Dewalt probably has a bunch of gates up too, so he's speed finished. He's going to be able to reinforce this position. He has +1 attack also. This is really scary though, because he doesn't have any storm, he doesn't have any cannons. Depending if eOnzErG, you could imagine eOnzErG even has drop coming here possibly, but like how many units Dewalt has, eOnzErG, his economy is not quite where he would want it to be, so this isn't an overwhelming amount of Hydras, but it is a lot of Hydras, so Dewalt really in an uncomfortable position. You can see he does have 6 gate, but no storm to work with. It's going to be pure Zealot, and actually I think eOnzErG might be able to do this. Dewalt has to pull all his probes, but that's not going to be enough, I don't think. I mean, Dewalt is getting on top of these Hydras, but his Zealots are getting killed. Now the probes are going to go down. This is buying some time for cannons to warp in at Dewalt's natural, but it's only 2 right now. More Hydras coming in. 2 Templar banking energy. This is so close, Nayok, and as eOnzErG goes in, slips 1 cannon, pulls back. The probes are doing a good job here to getting some damage onto the Hydralisks, and the time has been bought. These Templar are going to have storm, but he has to land some decent ones on the bulk of these Hydras.
Oh, and that's a decent one right there. It gets a couple Hydras, but eOnzErG continuing to put on the pressure, and this whole time it seems Dewalt did not have a forge, so now he's just rebuilt it. That has to be another good storm, and that is a great storm. Softens up a couple of the Hydras in the back, but he has more and more storm. And that is definitely going to change the tides now, because Lings had been coming in. Doesn't seem like a continued reinforcement of Hydras, but as I see that more and more are coming in, eOnzErG knows he has to basically end the game with this attack. Look at the supply, 81 to 42. He's putting up a good fight, but I think now Dewalt has stabilized. He's just got way too many Zealots. He's got enough Templar to deal with the Hydras.
Yeah, I think eOnzErG has run out of steam. I mean, if he had a functioning economy behind this, he would be in such a good position, but obviously he sacked his econ to go for these really aggressive plays, and it almost worked. I think it caught Dewalt off guard a bit there. I don't think he rebuilt the cannons as the Zealots come in here, but look at how many units Dewalt has. It doesn't even matter if it's pure Zealot versus Hydra man here, because he just has so much production relatively, relative to eOnzErG. He's going to push onto the high ground here. The Archon is going to join in, and the Archon actually adds a huge amount of damage to this composition. And eOnzErG, I mean, look at his supply, 40 supply to 85. Really looks like he's about to be ended here. Dewalt is in such a good spot.
Yeah, it looked like potentially eOnzErG was going to bring it back with the butts, but not the case. Dewalt a little bit too strong. Is going to take game 1 versus eOnzErG, but it did get dicey with that counterattack.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, I feel like that's typical eOnzErG there. It gets flustered, just attacks, and sometimes it works. There, it almost worked, but he was in such a bad spot, and really, he just got flustered. That one Zealot killed so many drones, and then he moved all his Hydras out of position to go and try and take that bust there. But that allowed the Corsairs of Dewalt to come in and kill a bunch of Overlords, putting him even further behind, at which point eOnzErG was just like, okay, I'm not making this 5th hatchery, I'm just making Hydras and going. And Dewalt, I think he lost those initial 3 cannons to that one bust. I don't know if he rebuilt them in time, but almost died there. That was really close. The fact that he had the foresight to make those 2 Templar early on to start banking energy, those Templar ultimately saved him the game. But that was really close for comfort, even for Dewalt. So I think Dewalt's not going to be entirely happy with how that went, but he did get the win, obviously. So up 1-0 already.
Yeah, and eOnzErG did almost mount a comeback with those Hydras, but he does need to be a little bit more careful with his drones. He was microing his lings outside of the front of Dewalt's base while that happened. So game 2 is going to be Sylphid. Let's see if eOnzErG can tie the score, or is it going to be another Protoss victory in game 3, or in our third series. So in the bottom left, in the gray, it is our Zerg representative, eOnzErG.
And bottom right, it is Dewalt. I'm going to take this time here quickly to thank our sponsors, Liquidbet, Esports Fund, and Blizzard. And, you know, without them, obviously, none of this would be possible. But, of course, for BSL 11, guys, we definitely need your help. So, you know, think about maybe contributing in terms of the Patreon or contributing onto Zero's channel here. But if you want to see BSL 11, we're not going to have the same kind of sponsorships, I don't think, just yet, at least for BSL 11. So definitely, I mean, already we've had such good viewership this season, Nyokin, and definitely people are tuning in and they're sharing it and, like, you know, they're enjoying StarCraft. But this really is the only thing we have, right, in the non-Korean scene right now. That does bring us together in such numbers, and, you know, we all it's kind of like our festival, I guess. So if you would like to, you know, continue this tradition that basically Zero has started here in the past couple of years after the release of Remastered, please do think about contributing if you can.
Yeah, and with Patreon, I think once you get to the $20 level, you will get all the replays for the entire BSL. Also at the $50 level, I think you get a bunch of coaching from one of the star players. We know that Zero is going to be coaching one of the Zergs or one of the players that gets the Star Lovers coaching for this month.
Yeah,
so
Avilov.
Definitely, yeah. Oh, yeah, Avilov's going to get coached. Maybe make it to the round of 8 next season with that coaching. So yeah, definitely think about contributing in that way. BSL gets bigger and bigger every single season. I think when I started, it was around like 400. Now today I saw we reached 750 viewers. That's a huge number, and we're not even into the finals yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's just great. So again, obviously thanks to everyone for the support and tuning in. But yeah, BSL 11, hopefully we'll have to see if it's going to happen, but everyone wants it to happen. So I'm sure, you know, remaining optimistic about it, but it's not just optimism, you know, we need some action, but we'll see. Anyway, Nyokin, I am pretty optimistic about our chances of getting more StarCrafts here. But in this game, it looks like what happened? I mean, Dewalt has the Gate Forge going. It looks like this was actually a Forge expand. And eOnzErG, he's going to, you know, it looks like he actually opened Overpull. So kind of identical builds from last game.
Yep, looks pretty much the same to me. Third hatch going down for eOnzErG. It is at the mineral only, so he's not going to have that extra gas. Again, in ZVP, I don't think that's a big deal. Now, what I'm mostly looking for is what's Dewalt's response going to be, because so far Probe's still alive. We saw last game he ended up going into I think it was about the 24 or 23 assimilator, which generally means it's going to be heavy tech with Sares and a bunch of Templar. It's not going to be, you know, Zealot Man. Now the Probe is still alive. That's crucial versus someone like eOnzErG. Now look, he was banking a decent amount of minerals and gas, so he may have been looking to put down a hydrogen if he could kill the Probe, but instead we see again that the lair is just going up at the net.
Yeah, and with this lair, Dewalt this time actually does see the lair. Again, he only sees 2 lings, so he knows this is mostly drones. I'm sure he's also confirmed the drone count at both mineral lines. So, you know, he's going to be able to get his tech up unhindered here, which is a big liability of Forge expand in general, is that, you know, you can't really rely on this Probe staying alive. And in that respect, I don't really agree with eOnzErG just making 2 lings. If you make the 4 lings earlier on, yes, it's a bit of a hit to your economy, but you do get to kill the probe scout right away, and then it puts you on so many different builds that the Protoss has to figure out. But I mean, eOnzErG, he is aggro, but at the same time, he does, he tends to want to play macro builds. So, but then again, I say that, kills the one probe, makes a bunch of blings. I think that was probably triggered by Dewalt moving out with the Zealot a bit. But it looks like for now, both players just playing extremely standard.
Yeah, back and the probe's coming in, try and get a scout off. Not going to see anything, as you're saying. I really do like the 4. Oh, he does see the Spire. So nice scout. But remember, we've already saw eOnzErG go for a mind game versus Bonyth last week. So Dewalt has to keep that in the back of his mind, that even though he saw the Spire, this could be some type of weird, potential Hydra Lurker play that eOnzErG has up his sleeve. Corsair is going to come in, and if there was that type of play, it would confirm that that's not going on. So everything looks very normal. Dewalt did go into Citadel. This does look basically like identical builds from last game, so I'm expecting to see a DT come out pretty soon too.
Yeah, Dewalt again. Okay, actually eOnzErG is going to try and go for this run by here, but completely stopped by Dewalt. That was so weird, and unfortunately, I mean, if this doesn't trigger a quick counterattack from Dewalt with these, even with these 3 Zealots, I'd be surprised. It looks like he's just going to be disciplined about it and sit back, because again, he's only on 1 gate. He's going for the +1 air weapons and continued Corsair production, so I can kind of understand that he wouldn't want to snap a counterattack here, because by the time he gets to eOnzErG's base, eOnzErG's going to have a bunch of units, and he's going to kill the Zealots, and then Dewalt's only on 1 gate. So, overall, I do agree with this decision, but eOnzErG, he didn't sacrifice too much there, but definitely a donation of 10 lings is good for Dewalt. Dewalt has a lot of breathing room here. He knows that basically eOnzErG has just been droning this whole time, only now adding his 2nd gate. I would like to see him just plop down most of his gates before he adds even more cannons here. And, Dewalt definitely in a good spot, though.
Yeah, Dewalt's in an amazing spot. And just like last game, eOnzErG's on 4 hatch. There's no 5th hatch for him. So that's going to be a lack of production. I'm a bit worried for him because, again, he's built some more lings. That's 4 more that could have been drones, could have been more Hydras. Now, of course, they are going to be able to support the engagement versus the Zealots a decent amount. But overall, Dewalt's in a fantastic position. And without the 5th hatch, without potentially the 6th hatch, without the evolution chamber, I'm getting worried for eOnzErG.
Yeah, I mean, this is just such a weird position to be in as Zerg, and the thing is, he made even more lings. He tried to run those by, got stuffed, and now Dewalt, looks like his speed just finished. I don't know if +1 is anywhere near done. Of course, +1 weapons usually a bit more delayed when you go for these Stargate openers.
Puripat aka Mulahai tipped $1,000.
What?
Here's some coins.
Puripat aka Mulahai tipped $1,000?
What just happened? That was such a big number. I thought that that's dollars, right? That's not bits. Holy smoke! So huge. Thank you. What was his name? It hasn't appeared in the chat. Mulahai. Thank you for the huge donation. That's an insane amount. Oh my God! Thank you so much.
That's absolutely incredible. So, I mean, I know this is in the middle of the game, but that was so incredible to support. Thanks so much. We'll talk about it in a minute here, but that's, oh my God, dude, what a hero. But okay, Dewalt actually in this game, what happened? Who cares, dude? Because it looks like BSL 11 is on track, boys. But Dewalt coming in here with the DT.
Yeah, and eOnzErG, this looks like a repeat of last game. I see DT swiping the mineral, and Dewalt has learned from last time that he needs a ton of cannons. Corsair's doing work, massive supply block. And this is going to be eOnzErG all or nothing. He's going for it with a bunch of Hydras, but there's so many cannons. There's so many Zealots just soaking up so many hits. That's a good, well, it's a kind of a whiff of the storm, but the Zealots bought enough time. DT in the natural, getting so many kills, and there's no Hydras to defend the Overlords.
Yeah, I mean, these Corsairs are just killing every Overlord ever produced by eOnzErG, and Dewalt, this game not caught off guard at all by eOnzErG's shenanigans, has like 1 trillion cannons, basically playing cannon defense in this game, and completely stuffs everything eOnzErG has thrown at him so far, and this is just a massive advantage. I mean, Dewalt's going to have a bunch of gates behind this. He killed a ridiculous amount of drones, a ridiculous amount of Overlords. I mean, eOnzErG can't even drone up because he's supply blocked. So what does he do at this point? Dewalt up to 4 gate. Still not the kind of critical mass you want to get at, but he's going to add a couple more gates here. And eOnzErG is just in a world of hurt, Nyokin.
Yeah, look at the supply. 39 to 37, doubling in supply again. And Dewalt, he is not going to let eOnzErG get back into this game. He's instantly going for the killing move. And eOnzErG, I think he's doing what he really should do. He's going into lurkers. He knows that Observer is going to be delayed. But is it in time? Triple Templar coming in. He sees the eggs. So everything's going perfectly for him.
Yeah, I mean, morphing lurkers in front of these Templars, just asking to get stormed. All those lurker eggs getting stormed. Actually, they pop right as the storm ends there, so they get healed to full before they die. Really lucky there from eOnzErG, but again, does that matter? Look, 3 more Zealots get inside of eOnzErG's main. They're gonna probably kill a couple more drones, killing these Hydras that just popped out. He has +1 on, Dewalt has +1. On the Zealots now, they're going to be doing a lot of damage. And this is just a nightmare situation for eOnzErG. Look, the Corsairs coming back, and again, Dewalt is just so good at keeping his Corsairs relevant across the mid-game here, always finding damage with them, always supply blocking eOnzErG, and getting a couple more drones. I mean, look at that saturation at the main. That's only 4 drones. He has good saturation here in the natural. The other Overlord goes down. There's literally no Overlords on the map. That's 5 supply from the 5 hatcheries that eOnzErG has.
Yeah, this is like, I think, Stork versus Calm on that map in ASL a few seasons ago, just permanently supply blocked. And now Dewalt can just do whatever he wants. He's at 8 gate. He has so many Zealots. He's got so much Storm available. He's kept the majority of his Sayers alive. And eOnzErG, he's just struggling to do anything. He can't build drones. He can't build Hydras. All he can do is build Overlords.
Yeah, I mean, this is just an incredibly bad situation for eOnzErG. Dewalt's up at 100 supply. eOnzErG is still in the red at 44, and now Dewalt's going to come in with the killer move. He even has the Robo, has Obs out, so Lurkers aren't going to stall him at all. I think he's probably just going to push through this. It is pure Zealot, though, against Hydra Lurker composition. I mean, that's not the best, the most ideal, but the thing is, he has so many Zealots. This is like twice the amount of Zealots that there are Hydras. With a couple of Storms here, Corsairs are going to be able to kill all the Overlords once again. These Zealots basically buffering for them. Sick fucking... Oh, sorry about this. Big storm from Dewalt. I'm just so excited from the big 1,000 donation from like just Dewalt killing every Overlord on the map. Just running through here into eOnzErG's base. He's gonna clean this up, and eOnzErG, GG's, and Nyokin. I mean, I'm just losing my mind. I don't know what just happened in the past 10 minutes. I lost my composure. I'm just malfunctioning, dude.
Yeah, so Dewalt just steamrolls eOnzErG there, looking insanely strong. Like, I thought this was going to be closer than it was, even potentially eOnzErG taking the series, but no chance for him at any point in the game. Permanently supply block, counterattack didn't work. What a monster play from Dewalt, just looking really on top of his game.
Yeah, but the real hero of that game, Mulahai, Pure Pat, thanks so much. The deepest, at the end of the day, the deepest gratitudes from all of us. And it's so weird, when people are that generous, there's not much that you can do other than thank them. But the reality is that's going to go a long way to just literally making BSL 11 happen. And so you can take pride in knowing that you're directly supporting this content right here, that basically a lot of people put a lot of work in, specifically also Zero. This is literally his his child here. He gave birth to the BSL, and the amount of work that he puts into it, I mean, definitely deserves to be supported. So Mulahai, thanks so much from everyone here, for that absolutely insane donation. I mean, I lost my marbles on that.
Yeah, when I read the donation, like, I'm looking at it, and I see the dollar symbol. I'm like, is that bits or is it money? Because I've never, ever seen a donation that high. So, Mulahai, really huge thanks to you. You're single-handedly supporting the PSL. Oh, my gosh. I'm really, I'm speechless on that amount of donation. It's a crazy amount. So thank you so much. But with all that said, this is a third victory now for Protoss. They can't be stopped, man.
I mean, and the other thing I was gonna say, like, it's so unfortunate. eOnzErG, he's just like, he just goes in, man. Like he doesn't take the time to just set up his macro and play the macro game. Like it's just so unfortunate. He's just always on. Like you can see he opens like very standard builds, but there's something, I don't know if it's a lack of confidence or if it's just how he usually plays, how he wants to play. But he sees like a small minute opening and he just shoves everything into it. And Dewalt, just being so solid, had none of that. So, but eOnzErG's a strong player. I would like to see him just have that confidence to just stabilize and play a long game, because we saw even against Bonyth, he was actually behind against Bonyth going into a really long macro game, and he actually held his own for a really, really long time. So, like, I want to see him do that against Dewalt, not just throw everything in the kitchen sink at him whenever he can.
Well, we were talking about how they're not out of the tournament, simply losing one best of 3. Remember, guys, everybody's going to be playing each other. So even if eOnzErG doesn't have his best performance today, he's still going to have another shot tomorrow and also in the coming weeks. But he does end up managing to be taken down by Dewalt. So we're going to be getting into our 4th game. But before we get into that, of course, we're going to go into a quick break and then come back with Boa versus Dandy. Those takes behind, dealing with all of the Hydras coming through the top. Now he luckily gets all of the tanks right there. There's an irradiate. It's gonna go. Oh, he gets the Overlord. Goodbye, drones. But so definitely a lack of defilers did not help this game. And here, this has got to be the last stand from Avilov. He's sending everything at top middle. Unfortunately for him, there's just an immense amount of tanks, and this is going to be Medino taking game 1 in a very, very long 45-minute game.
Now this is going to be a lot of Mutalisks to kill, but I think Medino, if he micros this correctly, he has more than enough. Here comes the Mutalisk right on top. He's focusing
the hatchery, he's going to shoot the Mutalisk, and now this is going to probably be the game-deciding fight. Does Medino have enough? It looks like he doesn't. That is so many Mutalisks. What, about 24 Mutalisks there, and he easily cleans up the Goliath, but turrets behind it, Avilov doesn't care about those 2 turrets. But
I mean, this army is pretty impressive, but unlike the other games, he doesn't have vessels to EMP Queens, so I think a bunch of Queens are going to come in here, get a lot of Broodlings off onto the tanks. 1 goes down, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 go down. They all completely evaporate, and Medino's army just completely crushed. Now the Zerg army is going to come up as a follow-up attack, and what a throw. GG, well played.
Still, the army is very not ideal for Dewalt. Mostly goons, but triple Arbiter. This could be the fight he wants. He's also on top of a couple mines. Where's that shuttle going?
Oh, this is... Oh my god, he actually
his own shuttle!
Dude, that is a disaster, but I think Dewalt, despite that, has more than enough here. I mean, kogeT just didn't have enough vultures to support these tanks, and really huge misplay. Just completely kind of caught out of position. But Dewalt's going to get a nice drop here. Probably a couple of Reavers. No, just 2 Reavers, actually. It's going to be massive, because even if he doesn't kill a lot of these SUVs, he can just kill the depots. And he does start focus firing these down, and he's going to kill so many depots. It's going to supply block kogeT. He's not actually paying attention. He needs to target down these. Okay, actually, it's because kogeT doesn't even defend. He's just going to go all in here, and this is not going to work out. I mean, he's so far behind supply-wise. Look, he only has 6 tanks. All these goons already in position. They're going to take this fight, completely clean this up, and I think Dewalt's heading to quick 2-0.
Yeah, Dewalt's easily going to clean this up, and it's going to be Dewalt versus Medino, or no, Avilov in the winner's match. Those storms are not the greatest, but now he's on top of half of the production. The Zealot, or the Storm is perfect that time, gets so many
my
tigers,
god.
and that is probably all that Dewalt needed. He kills half of the Hydras in a single storm. There's so many goons. But so this is going to be Dewalt taking game 1 with a fantastic counterattack.
He knows this is 5 pull, and actually so far, I mean, the Lings get on top of the Zealot. This is really good from Dewalt. Snap building the pylon there, so suddenly Avilov does not have the choice to kill the pylon. He has to go for the Zealot, but the probes are in time to reinforce, and actually Dewalt's dealing with this really well. You know, oh my god, that was really good from Avilov.
He's going in. He's going to pop down one cannon. There's no storm just yet. That's a lot of Lings, remember that. And there's only 3 Zealots to actually dish out any damage.
He knows there's no storm. There would have been a storm coming down. You can see Avilov knows. One storm goes down, but it hits nothing. Another storm gets completely dodged. And now Avilov, okay, actually a third storm. That's still a lot of Hydras. I think storm is out. One storm goes down. Still doesn't another storm goes down. Still not targeting the Templar. Now they're going to morph into the Archon.
This game, there's just simply not enough steam for Avilov. Oh, that's so unfortunate because he was so close.
Yeah, it was so close, but he had so many Overlords just get killed by that. Of course, there has 7 kills. The Archon also lifting a lot of that weight there. I mean, it's really crazy how much value Archons add to that composition against Hydralisks. And at this point, because Avilov was supply blocked for so long, I mean, he's just going to run out of steam. He is banking a lot of resources, though. He does leave. But I think Avilov is just going to be able to smash this and probably take the win. It's really hard as Terran to win from this position.
Yeah, plus 4 armor is going to kick in probably within the next 30 seconds. Unless there's a medic wall in the front, these Ultras are just going to easily bash through. You can see that he's going in now. Plus 3 armor just kicked in. Ling's getting on top of the Marines, so are the Ultras. Is there enough? One Ultra actually falls down, tank falls down, and it seems like Avilov just barely has enough. Yeah, the medics are crazy.
More Ultras are coming in.
Yeah, unfortunately, Ultras just don't take any damage from Marines. So let's see if kogeT can have a good engagement here. It looks like the Marines are a little bit too far forward. I don't think there's critical mass this time. There's so many Ultras trying to get in there. Yeah, I think this has got to be it. There's just way too many Ultras. The Radiate's really not helping out this time. GG coming in from kogeT. So this might be kogeT just going for the throat. He's stimming in here. 4 Sunkens are strong. Good muta control at the bottom. I think it's just way too much kogeT. All of the Sunkens are falling. You can see how fast the Mutalisks also fall. And this is going to be kogeT just busting through. Where are the Lings? Did they also get picked off?
Yeah, you just lost all the Mutalisks, and that's going to be it. GG going to come in through now. GG well played by Avilov, and kogeT makes it into the round of 8.
We are back. We're going to be getting into game 4 now. It's going to be Boa versus Dandy. We already saw Boa fall versus Bonyth earlier. Bonyth just having ridiculous trades in the PvP matchup. But now it's going to be a PvT. And it's going to be the first time we get to see Dandy in the round of 8.
Yeah, and this is going to be Boa's second game here today, also played live. So hopefully some of his nerves have calmed down and probably is a bit more, you know, warmed up, confident. But I feel like here against Dandy, he's going to have a much better matchup than against Bonyth. Again, Bonyth is just so dominant in PvP and so experienced in these tournament environments that it would have been absolutely incredible for Boa to win there. But, you know, against Dandy, I mean, Dandy, as we've seen previously, right? He's definitely in shape here, but I think Boa has a really good shot.
For sure, Boa has a shot, but I'm going to favor Dandy a bit here. Dandy just is so good, just top-notch Terran player that I think Boa is going to have a real tough time versus him. Now, what Dandy does like to do is he does like to just play straight up macro, and you were pointing out how Boa kind of sometimes a bit weak when his multitask has to be tested. So if Dandy's not going to test his multitask, if he's not going to go for a lot of drop play, you know, someone like Terra likes to play, this could be a good matchup for Boa.
I think Boa actually in situations where he doesn't get too taxed on his multitask and just has to play a straight up game, it's actually ridiculously strong. And he also weaves in a lot of early aggression with Zealots early and you know, sometimes proxies and stuff like that. So that's going to be some good tools to at least put Dandy on the back foot early on, but Dandy himself tends to go for some crazy, sometimes some crazy early pushes, like this really strong FD type pushes, even before his command center goes down. So I think, you know, this early game is going to be extremely volatile between the two players, and whoever gets ahead is probably going to end up winning the game, obviously, but I really think it's going to come down to how the early game plays.
Yeah, our first map is going to be Polypoid. Remember, I forget who gets the first pick, but there's no set map. It's going to be Polypoid first, then Sylphid, and then third map is going to be Optimizer.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a really good Terran map, I think, for Dandy. If he gets it, he's going to have access to so much gas. So I think if Boa wants to seal a victory here, it's mandatory that he wins in the first two, but still Optimizer could be potentially good for Protoss. Even though I think Terran benefits from it more, they are going to have a lot of access to gas to go into, you know, tons and tons of arbiters, potentially have tons and tons of storms maybe. Oh, is it Sylph? It is a mistake. It is going to be Polypoid first, so we'll see who can start off with a quick early lead in the series. Is it going to be Dandy or is it going to be Boa? So in the bottom left, in the blue, it is our NA representative, Boa.
Top left, it is the Peruvian himself, King Dandy. I mean, I was gonna say Peruvian Prince, but that might be Terror, but because Terror got eliminated here by Boa actually in the BSL, I think that title for now of Peruvian Prince or King is going to Dandy.
Yeah, I forgot that Boa ended up taking out Terror, so he already has some solid wins under his belt if he's able to take out someone like Terror. So Dandy may have his hands full with Boa, but I'm looking at the spawns here. This is already a good spawn for Dandy. He's going to have high ground advantage at his third base. If he does go for a timing, he doesn't have to deal with high ground at Boa's base. So overall, this is about as ideal of a spawn as you can get as a Terran player.
Yeah, but at the same time, this is about as ideal of a map as you're going to get as Boa. You know, we'll have to see here if Dandy actually chooses to play a very strong macro game. Polypoid really is the kind of map that, I mean, it can be a good Terran map, but with the way that most Terrans have been playing in BSL, with the exclusion, I think, in general of kogeT that I can recall, they just favor to play very hard two-base push styles, and that really just is not good on this map. You really have to go into that quick 4 bases. There's really no other way to play this map other than the 4 bases. On some spawns, like these spawns here, like you were saying, Nyokin, for Terran, definitely Dandy has the option of expanding to his mineral only and going for a really, really strong 3-base push, because again, you can see he can just walk to Boa's natural, doesn't have to contest with the Boa's high ground. So that could be an option for him, but definitely 2-base pushes are just so incredibly weak on this map that I don't think we'll have to see that. And so it's up to Dandy to show, again, TVP. I mean, a lot of Protosses can play PvT late game, right? A lot of Protosses, especially all the Protosses in the BSL, they have very strong macro game PvT. But not all the Terran players can play very drawn out, like long TVP. So it's up to Dandy to really show here what he's made of.
Yeah, well, Dandy is someone that loves to go for gasless, and that's exactly what we see here. When I saw the barracks in the main, I was anticipating it to be a 12 gas, but he didn't end up taking his gas the entire time. So a bit of luck on his side to see that there is no zealot pressure.
$50,
and Star Lover,
BSL
thank
forever.
you for the tip there, $50. A huge supporter of the BSL.
Yeah.
You know, every single season. So thank you so much again, Star Lover. And we do see that. I think that is that a pylon going up at the third base?
Yeah, it is.
Like it is.
Bo actually did this. I was helping him practice yesterday, and we played this map. And I also gasless on this map a lot, and this is exactly what he did. Now the thing is, it looks like Dandy, instead of, in this situation as Terran, you can actually skip the bunker for a bit, because I think he was scouting Boa, and he saw that there was only one Dragoon, there's no Zealot, so he could have kept making Marines and poked here to check his high ground, but he did not do that. So if this Robo actually gets up uncontested and he's not making any Marines, look, he's floating his racks down, he's only going to be on these 2 Marines getting the factory. The Boa is threatening so much here with the Robo. Not only is there the possibility of the Reaver just crawling from the Robo and sieging this bunker, but he could go for a really early shuttle and just float Dragoons into Dandy's main and basically kill the tanks that come out of his factory.
Yeah, that is definitely a possibility. Just because there's a Robo does not necessarily mean it's going to be Reaver. Elevator is also super strong, and Dandy's being... I think this is a pretty normal build to go into the academy, but unfortunately for him, he needs just units. Second factory would be amazing for him. Range does kick in, so Dandy doesn't suspect a thing. He didn't see anything with the SCV coming in, because it did get picked off by a Dragoon. Now, I did notice he sent out a second SCV, but I don't know exactly where it is. I don't think that's at the natural of Boa right now.
Yeah, I mean, he does... Okay, he knows what's going on. There's a Robo, but he doesn't know that this... I mean, the support bay is there, but he doesn't know that the Robo is actually proxied just yet. I mean, I'm sure he's probably piecing it together. I wonder here, Boa, did he go for the shuttle or did he go for the Reaver? I'm not sure. I didn't see the resources. The thing is, the Robo does have some downtime while the support bay is making, so maybe that's a shuttle that just popped out, and he's gonna get these Dragoons inside of Dandy's main. The tank isn't out. There's nothing supporting the tank from coming out of the factory. He does unload his Marines, goes for that one Dragoon, but the Boa micros that perfectly. And here comes the SCVs. They're gonna surround these Dragoons. The tank not quite yet out, but that was completely stuffed there from Dandy, and the Marines are getting on top of these Dragoons. Also, the tank is not joining into the fight. If the shuttle goes down, that would be absolutely massive. These Dragoons are basically stuck here now, though the Marines all die, so the shuttle can come back, but the tank is not getting repaired. These Dragoons are going to kill the first tank for free, and that's a disaster for Dandy.
Yeah, he catches the first tank, but luckily for Dandy, he does eliminate one of the goons, but the shuttle, like you said, is extremely low. If it even takes just a little bit more damage, the shuttle's going to get picked off, and how's he going to use his Reaver? It's just going to essentially only be used for busting the bunker. Now, the Reaver is definitely in this, and I think this might just be game-ending move right here. Reaver Scarab does hit onto the tank. That's gonna be another juicy shot. These Protoss players today are landing everything. Look at that SCV.
Oh my god, the tank goes down also.
Yeah, and now I think Dandy's been breached. Look at the supply, 50 to 22. He has nothing to kill the Reaver.
Yeah, and Bo is actually expanding behind this, so he killed so many SCVs that at this point, if the shuttle goes down, he actually drops the Reaver beforehand, though, so the Reaver is going to keep killing a bunch of SCVs. It doesn't even matter if Dandy survives at this point, because Boa, oh my god, that Scarab shot is just landing. Every time these Reavers today have been absolutely on point. Boa is expanding behind this. I mean, Dandy's down to 8 supply, and GG. Quick game there from Boa. And quick shout out there actually to Mazer for the $30 donation. These donations are going absolutely crazy.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mazer, for twice donating $30 right there. Huge appreciation. So we do see that Boa ends up taking down Dandy in game 1, and Dandy, who I thought would be a good matchup for Boa, or going up against Boa, ends up just getting picked apart. And this is something that Dandy does do. He does like to go for extreme macro play, going in for gasless. And Boa has showed a side of himself right there that he's content just straight up killing you if you want to play super greedy. So I think Dandy now needs to be a little bit more cautious going into game 2 and game 3.
Yeah, and it's really frustrating because I actually think Dandy had everything there to stop that. Just kind of mismicroed a bit. The early response was so good. He almost killed the one Dragoon. The shuttle was so low, but the Marines kind of just didn't come back in time. And the first tank getting sniped was absolutely massive, and it shouldn't have died because there was 2 Dragoons there. All you have to do is make sure that your SCVs are just repairing the tank, and it's never going to die. and suddenly the shuttle's on low health, then the Marines come in, so they prevent the shuttle from coming back. It's just really unfortunate for Danny. I think he's probably going to be frustrated with that game because he did have the tools to stop it. Now, unfortunately for him, he did go for that academy also. If he went straight to factory and just made double tank off the factories, I think he probably would have held that push. But it's hard to do that because he didn't actually scout the proxy robo. And early game, when you're gasless, that's one of the big builds you have to look for. You actually have to push out a bit and see what's going on. Like, am I getting proxied? But Dandy didn't do any of that, and just his build was not ideal in stopping that. And Boa with a sick kind of snap call to just all in that, worked out for him.
Well, our second map is going to be Sylphid, so we'll see, is Boa going to take this series 2-0, or does Dandy have a fighting chance and bring it to game 3 on Optimizer? So in the bottom left, in the brown, he got caught being a little bit too greedy. It is Dandy.
And the bottom right, it is Boa in Protoss. I like purposely making these anticlimactic introductions, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah, I can tell. You're very quick on the gun to just get it over with.
Yeah, so we can transition into talking about other.
Oh yeah, you gotta tell me what's on the Gypsy podcast today. How am I gonna lose more viewers this week?
Well, I think you gave people a sneak peek earlier because I forgot this about you, Nyokin. But you used to play bowl. You used to bowl a lot, eh?
I did.
Yeah.
I like bowling. Bowling is fun. I bowled from when I was 5 years old until I went to college.
Yeah.
I was pretty good too. I averaged like about 200. I was actually really good at bowling. But
you want to know what my highest score ever was?
Oh yeah, hit me with it. 90?
No. Come on.
Are you actually good at bowling, or are you?
No.
I don't know,
Kajek tipped
190?
$10.
No, I
BSL
wish.
11, I will be there.
Oh no, 130.
I forget. I think I've done a 150.
150? That's
Yeah.
not bad. You know what my
It's
highest
bad.
game is? You know what my highest game ever is?
Yeah, like 270, right?
It's a 289. I had 10
280.
strikes in a row.
Yeah.
And then I was in the league, and my friend, he's like, "You're gonna get a 9 this time," and then I got a 9. I wanted to actually kill him. I was like, "Why? Why would you say anything? Don't talk to me. I'm trying to get a 300."
Are
My
there a
dad
lot
is
of people that have do a lot of players have 300s?
Yeah, a lot of players have gotten 300, but it's extremely difficult. My dad's gotten a 300 only one time. My friend that I bowled with, he ended up getting a 300 like 10 years later. And when you get a 300 in a league, they give you a ring. So he's got this huge ring that he just wears.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's. When are we gonna have BSL rings, dude? Think about it.
Well, I don't know if you can get BSL rings because Bonyth might just, like, his entire hand will be covered. Will he be able to use his keyboard at that point? Will he be able to use his mouth? Like, they're just gonna he's going to be dragging that mouse. It's going to be so clunky.
Plump Manatee tipped $5.
Plump
Is it
Manatee, thanks so
BSL or
much,
PSL?
$5. Anyway, I mean, that is cool. Dandy actually going for that Rax expand again on Sylphid of all games. He's quite lucky though that Boa didn't go for anything like a forward Rax, or a forward gateway, excuse me. But Sylphid is a map that it's more unusual for sure to go for a Rax expand because it's a 3-player map. There's no ramp. The rush distances are actually quite short. It's very risky to go for this, especially with the Rax in your main. You don't have anywhere to micro your Marines out to defend your command center. So fortunately for Dandy, actually kind of called Boa's gate first opening, and that's going to be a relief for him. He got the SCV inside of Boa's base. He knows there's no Zealot, so he can very calmly get this this expansion going here. And unfortunately for Boa, I mean, we saw last game, he was not content, right, with Dandy going command center first, or Rax expand rather. So is he going to pull out the same thing? It looks like he has 3 pylons in his main. I don't think he can, even if he wanted to, go for a proxy at this point.
Yeah, it looked like Danny was potentially going to set up for maybe proxy starport at the right side, but well, that's something at the bottom of the base that I see, or bottom. I thought it was going to be another probe being built down, or building a pylon, but instead it looks like that's the goon just scouting for potential hidden factory locations. I've seen a few games where players like Rush like to hide their second factory there, so really nice move from Boa to scout that to make sure that that's not going on, because we know that Dandy's going to be getting siege mode, and you do not want to be caught with your units out of position and just lose to something like a 2 Vulture run by. So even though nothing there, nice scout from Boa. Dandy coming in for a secondary scout to confirm it. That's what's going on. And he does see that that is just going to be a Nexus follow-up. So this time not going to be really worried about any potential bust.
Yeah. Gets his expansion out, bunkers up. Range is done for Boa, so he's going to get the damage onto that bunker to siphon some of Dandy's income. And whoa, this is a Citadel off of 1 gate. So we're going to have quick DT follow-up, and this is pretty tricky because what Dandy sees is he sees 3 Dragoons here with range at the standard timing. Now, of course, this Citadel is always a possibility after Nexus, but it is a bit harder to identify. So if Dandy does not go for an Academy, which it doesn't look like he is, he would have had the Academy going by now. This could actually catch him off guard for sure.
Yeah. Even if he gets the Academy and scans, if he scans and blows double scan and then DT walks in, the game's just going to be over. A lot of players skip the eBay for a long time. We see there's no eBay in sight for Dandy. There's no Academy in sight. So DT drop going to be coming in. This is something that a lot of Protoss players do like to do in the past few months. Luckily for Dandy, eBay coming in, but still he has no idea that this is coming.
The eBay is nice though, because you do need an eBay at some point, but he's going to be contained forever because he's going to have absolutely no scans. It's going to be a bit hard for him. And of course, if he actually pushes out, which it doesn't seem likely because Dandy actually went straight for the siege mode. So I'm assuming that he's going to get vultures behind this and go for a run by out onto the map. This DT drop, I mean, I feel like Dandy is probably going to blind build turrets in this situation, considering that he didn't go for the scan. Unfortunately, Boa kind of loses a Dragoon. And yeah, nice there from Dandy, getting a turret out in time for any kind of late DTs there. But is he going to get turrets up in his base? And honestly, against DTs, you want to have your turrets next to your command center and not out to outright deny the shuttle as you would against the Reaver drop. It looks like he's actually just putting down his command center. In general, yeah, he's in trouble. He needs to get turrets down ASAP. But the thing is, if they're on the perimeter of his base like that, I mean, Boa can just drop the DTs in and they can go straight for the mineral line.
Yeah, and in my experience versus players that go for DT drop, they don't care about turret rank. They're just going to waltz right through this. And unluckily for Dandy, these turrets are not even completed. And I saw that the Academy's just started at the bottom side of the depots. So this is just going to be DT doing work. Now, in response, we know that Dandy has vultures across the map, so he needs to go for a counterattack. But I think those goons are already in position. You can see he's scrambling to get these turrets up, but he can't do anything. Also, the DT can just hold position at that tiny choke and prevent any units from getting in.
Yeah, I love how Boa is playing this. He could have just chased those DTs up to Dandy's natural, and he didn't because he knew that there would be a turret there, and he didn't lose a DT for free. He's just denying this mining at the main base. He's not expanding too quickly to not allow himself to get basically counterattacked by vultures. Even though he sees this third base from Dandy, he knows he's doing a lot of damage. All he has to do is sit back, get his infrastructure going. He's probably teching to Arbiter in the meantime. He's buying so much time here. He's going to kill this turret off once again, and this is such a bad spot to be in as Dandy. I mean, in general, you know, getting this fast third command center is what you want to do against a DT drop. But the reality is, you need to have some kind of a detection in your main. He's going to kill a tank.
He just managed to pick off a tank there, and now but there's still no scanners. The comsats are just about to start. Okay, well, now the shuttle might get taken down by some Marines, but the damage has already been done. How many turrets has he built? He's built like 10 turrets. If this turret gets denied, the DT's going to deny the third base, but luckily there are comms set available. Now the turret does take out the shuttle, so the DT will get cleaned up, but the damage has been catastrophic. And behind this, Boa's taking his third Nexus. He's starting to go into Arbiters most likely. Everything looks fantastic, and Boa instantly striking with a group of goons.
Yeah, he's going to completely kill this. I mean, there's only 3 tanks, 2 Marines. This is like a control group of Dragoons. They're going to take some losses on the way in, but they get in range of these tanks, going to clean the tanks up surgically. And now this third command center is completely open. Hasn't lifted it up yet, but after these SCVs die, I mean, Boa's just going to... Okay, Boa's getting a bit scrappy here. He does get those 2 Goliaths. If he gets this tank as well, it's going to be absolutely massive. Does lose a lot of the Dragoons, but still 5 are alive. They're going to kill these SCVs. He's going to force the liftoff on the command center. And remember, he did so much damage with the DT drop earlier. Look at the supply, 87 to 48.
There's nothing in the bunker. So he's just into the mineral line. 2 tanks are coming out. They will push it back, but he's already done ridiculous amounts of damage. Look at the supply, 50 to 84. We know he's teching behind it. We know he's taking bases behind it. Shuttle has come back. I don't know exactly what's in there. Vulture run by was shut down. Doesn't seem like it got much damage done, but Dandy does manage to clean up the majority of the goons. There's only 3 left, but Boa in a fantastic position. I feel like we're seeing a repeat of the kogeT eOnzErG game where Terran is just in a massive deficit, and really his only option now is to just kind of camp the game out.
Yeah, basically. I mean, this really hurts. He's only on 3 factories. He has no third base. Boa did so much damage here. I'm suspecting that behind this, he actually has an Arbiter on the way very soon here. Yeah, you can see actually the Stargate just now starting to blink. So, yeah, 10 minutes. I mean, this Arbiter is going to be really fast. He did get the Robo, so it wasn't something like a Citadel straight into Stargate with no obs. So just in general, and Boa's getting his third base going. I mean, this is prime position. But now you can remember, we saw Boa against Terra, right, on Polypoid a couple weeks back at this point, and he was in an equally dominant position, maybe even more. No, I mean, probably equally dominant position, and he almost lost that game through just throwing, honestly. So, you know, could happen this game, but Sylphid, it's really hard to take a bad engagement as Protoss.
Yeah, Boa still does need to be cautious with his army. We were talking about how in the eOnzErG versus kogeT game that we just saw a few minutes ago, eOnzErG had a huge lead, but his army comp was not the greatest. He had a ton of goons and ended up not trading really effectively in the ground fight. So if Dandy can have good SimCity, can have a good army comp versus what Boa has, for sure Dandy can start mounting a comeback. And also what Dandy has going for him is, despite building 100 turrets in his main, at least it will prevent recall for now. So that's kind of not an option for Boa. But what that does allow Boa to do is just sit there and bank the energy, get up multiple stasises, and once we see 2 or 3 stasis, I think that's going to be the time to strike, and then just simply overrun Dandy as he takes his third base. But yeah, as I say that, he's going for it right now.
Yeah, Boa is definitely not the type of player to miss out on bust timings like this. He's not, you know, we saw eOnzErG, he had bust timings against kogeT, but he prefers to sit back and just go for recalls. Boa is the type of player that will flex his macro onto you, his macro advantage, and he's just going to go for the fight. But actually, he, you know, that being said, he's going to actually swoop in this Arbiter from a really, really awkward angle. It looks like he's going for a recall. He does have energy for a recall, but now the Arbiter joins up with his army. Not quite sure exactly what Boa is setting up for. He still has a pretty decent supply advantage. Looks like he's going to go for a nice stasis here. A lot of tanks to be had. Only 2 tanks with that stasis, unfortunately, but he's going to go anyway. The shuttle leads the way, drops Zealots on top of those 3 tanks. They are doing so much damage. The Dragoons from the north side, though, this isn't really that big of an army from Boa. He is going to be able to kill these units at the north side here in the entrance of Dandy's natural, and more units coming in to the third. It looks like he's done it.
Yeah, it's not a huge army, but it's more than enough to take down Dandy's standing army. The DTs just did insane amounts of damage. The third base has been breached. The natural has been breached. I don't think the goons will be able to get in just now, but just denying the third base is more than enough. Boa's taking his 4th base at the high ground base. He's already got like 10 gate already up. We know he has arbiters, of course, because they're still flying around. And this is going to be Boa probably taking game 2 in the next couple minutes. Look at the lack of production. There it is, GG. So Boa, he's going to get off a solid win versus one of the best Terrans in the tournament. Well, one of the two. There's only 2 left.
Yeah, and again, honestly, this
Chad
result
BSL
is not
11
surprising to me.
underscore
Boa
champion
is
tipped
really strong in this
$15.
matchup.
Gog BSL less than
I think
3.
his nerves get to him, and again, that game kind of at the end there, a lot of his resources shot up as he was doing the attack, and it didn't seem so clean, but he managed to get it done, and honestly, kind of dismantled Dandy in both games there. Dandy didn't really get to play his game at all, and you know, Protoss victories across the board today.
Yeah, that's another victory for Protoss. I gotta look at the lineup. Who's gonna be the last matchup? Because okay,
It's gonna be Sziky versus
Dewalt.
Dewalt.
Versus Sziky. So Zerg still has a chance. Terran has been shut down 0-2 today, and all these Protoss players look ridiculously strong. And now I think this is the matchup that I wanted to see the entire day. It's going to be Dewalt versus Sziky, 2 absolute monster powerhouses just slugging it out.
Yeah. And before we go into this quick break here, you know, big shout out to the donations that we got. Shad, Star Lover, of course. Rogi tipped $300.
Yeah,
Rogi
from the big Rogi, and then just insane amount of donations today. Thank you so much for the support, guys. Like, it really means.
Gosu VG $30, MCSQU $21. Thanks so much, guys. You guys are absolutely incredible today. You know, yeah, it's just the support is insane.
Yeah, massive shout out to all you guys. And now we're going to be going into our final game, but of course we've got to take a quick break, and then when we come back, it's going to be Dewalt versus Sziky. Hey Storm, there's a great Maelstrom right there catching all the Mutalisks. But look at the supply. There's a 35 supply lead for eOnzErG, and TrueTouch is not using his whole army, so he is going to get pushed back right now. If he goes straight to the 4th base, I think he has a shot at busting it.
He has observers, he has a bunch of goons, but just no storm to work with, and he's going to try and find another opening here. Gets a nice 6 storm onto those lurkers, kills the lurkers instantaneously, and this is actually a really good fight for eOnzErG. That was a sick Maelstrom, but no storm to follow it up, no DPS onto those units, but he is actually buying a lot of time for his units to kill the rest of TrueTouch's army, and I think it's really close here. Still, TrueTouch, because there's no storm, is able to basically push eOnzErG back.
Yeah, 120 supply versus 90, but Hydras are just so good. There's no storm either, so that's a great storm in the back, and that's going to completely wipe these Hydras. And now it's 4 base versus 4 base. I didn't see a high for TrueTouch either, so he's still stuck on Lair Tech. He's down 50, so he just GG's out. He realizes that he cannot come back from a 4 base or a 4 base versus 4 base with that type of comp. So he taps out, and eOnzErG ends up making it into the winners match, taking out somebody that consistently makes it to the finals of BSL. He's not building lings, he's not getting speed. What looked like should be a good counter, despite taking the on location 3rd base, he's gonna get decimated by these zealots. Half of his production is on the right side. This is 5 zealots. How is this happening? He's broke too. It's not like he can build more lings out of whatever's larva he has available. This is it. He's not mining.
Yeah, game's over. I mean,
oh, he does have speed.
Yeah, he does have speed, but he built that lair and now canceled the lair. But the thing is, his 3rd hatchery's already finished.
Pool's about to die. Oh my gosh. I can't believe it. Onto the high ground. Now defilers are out. We saw no defilers yesterday. I'm glad to see them mixed in this time. Now what's in that shuttle? If there's Reavers in here, it looks like there's going to be a harassing shuttle probably. But this is kind of an awkward position because eOnzErG, he can get surrounded 360. Now that's an amazing storm.
Oh my God.
So many drones. Look at the supply plummet for Sziky. Where are the lurkers? They're completely out of position on the right side, but this is a base that's almost mined out. This is not super important to Zerg. What's important is the right side, so he's going to try and save the majority of these drones, going to intercept the storms, and all of them are going to get wiped out. But look at the supply. It's even supply. Okay, now that could be a game changer. Reaver mixed in with Storm. Combo that with Zealots in the front. But it just seems like there's just too much Zerg.
Maybe, you know, if Oya establishes bottom right here, I mean, he's going to win this game. Still, look, so much Zerg red units coming down. This is exactly what I was expecting to see. You really just want to keep flooding the Protoss at this point. You should be perpetually maxed, perpetually sending a bunch of links, and finally, okay, Sziky finds the engagement he was looking for. All he needs to do is just macro it up, and OyaG GG's. Such a sick game from both these players. Sziky actually manages to tie it up, but kind of a scare there late game. I mean, he was struggling to end that game.
Well, there's an Archon sitting there. Archon does a lot of damage. Nice split by Sziky there to minimize the amount of damage, but a few mutas do end up falling. DT doing work in the main, and unlike in the True Touch game, still no third base for OyaG. So despite having the crazy opener, he's not able to get a third base simply because he keeps getting his Sarah count reset, and the entire drone line gets wiped. And Sziky has no idea. I love how he focuses down the larva too.
So now he's going to get punished by OyaG pushing in here, and OyaG, again, his macro is insane. He has a third base going, a bunch of gates, even though he doesn't have Storm. I mean, this is so many Protoss units and so few Zerg units.
I think he's done it.
Yeah.
Where's the supply? Even though there's no Templar, if Protoss just consistently rallies across the map, there's a lot of goons, there's a ton of Zealots, there's just an overwhelming amount of units, and OyaG is on the brink of taking Sziky out and moving into the round of 8 in first place.
I think Sziky's probably going to GG anytime soon, and we're going to have Oya come out of this group in first place.
He still can't deal with the goons. He still can't deal with the Zealots. Look at the supply now, doubling the supply. GG.
Here comes Gornish.
Yeah, Ling's getting on top of that Sunken. The bottom Sunken is not done yet. No Mutalisk out, but Ziki's Concave is amazing. Lings are attacking the hatchery for no reason. He's gonna, I think, give up the natural. Behind this, oh, maybe not. Okay, actually, Gornish just flat out has too many Lings, and this is all or nothing for Gornish because there's no evolution chamber. This is just make or break. He's just going for the Hail Mary play. Muta's still not out. There's no more Lings, only 2 popping out, 2 more from the natural. He's wiping drones. He's gotten to pop down 2 or 3 right there. None of those larvae were Mutas.
Possibly, but there's just so many more Lings coming in for Gornish here.
Yeah, but with the Spire going down, what is Gornish afraid of? He's got the Spore to defend versus Muta. There's only 3 drones left for Sziky, and those should be eliminated right now, down to 1 drone. He doesn't even have the money to build another one, so that's it. And that's going to be Sziky tapping out. Gornish taking a very quick win with this very, very sneaky 3-hatch play.
Gornish coming in here with the Mulus and the Lings. Lings getting on top of the other Lings. The Sunkens are building behind. Really all he has to do is kill the Sunken of Sziky. And actually I think Gornish is going to do it because look, he still has a bunch of Lings. He has the Mulus here to support. And he's done it, Nyokin. I mean, the Sunkens are going to come up here. They're not in range of the hatchery is the only problem. And momentarily, actually, Sziky, his Spire is going to finish here. So he's going to be able to get his own set of Mutalisks. And Gornish bled a couple of Mutalisks there from the Spores. And he's not actually making more Mutalisks. So only 2 Mutas left for Gornish. Sziky is making a bunch of Mutas. I think he hasn't spent his gas. If he would make Mutas here, he would instantly win. The Scourge are coming out. They're going to kill these 2 remaining Mutalisks. Despite getting Sunken rushed here, he's going to defend.
Yeah, he just has too much in the air. The Mutas are going to clean up the Lings. Gornish sacked 2 drones to make that happen. And GG coming out.
This timing is razor thin here. Gornish coming in with a bunch of Lings, and look at this concave from Sziky, baiting him into this nice patient play though from Gornish, because he's gonna kill that Sunken for free before the Lings actually engage. But just so many red Lings on this map. I don't know if Gornish has enough. It looks like Southside he loses, Northside. And now the Lings are gonna come in here and deny this natural. He just has so many Lings now. That's probably gonna be morphed into a Sunken, but just look at how many Lings Sziky has. He's gonna overpower Gornish's defense at his natural. And Gornish, despite trying to stabilize this game and go for a third base, GG, Sziky pulls that one out of the hat. Just an impeccable play from him. Completely smacks down Gornish's attempt at tomfoolery there. And he will be getting out of this group in second place.
We are back. We are going into our final match of the day. It is going to be Sziky versus Dewalt, the matchup that I've wanted to see all day long. Can a Zerg finally get a kill? Can they finally take out Dewalt? Dewalt looking so strong. And this time, I think there's a really good shot because Sziky has been looking so monstrous every single week we see him.
Yeah, this is going to be probably the matchup of the day, basically, Dewalt versus Sziky. But Dewalt, I mean, he's just an absolute monster, and Dewalt has been Sziky consistently in the past couple BSL things that we've seen him play. And also just coming off that victory against eOnzErG, I mean, you know, Sziky is incredibly strong, but I mean, once again, I have to default here to Dewalt because he's just looking like a monster.
Yeah, Dewalt might have a little bit of an edge. We did see Sziky take down Dewalt in the race wars, so for sure he's got a good shot, and he's looking really on top of his game. But Dewalt, as usual, just on top of it every single time you watch him play. He's already taken down eOnzErG today, and eOnzErG is obviously a phenomenal player, and he made eOnzErG look like he was nothing, just dismantling him with Sares, with DT, one Zealot getting 4 drone kills, managing to hold off the counterattack. And even though Sylphid didn't have a disaster opener, Dewalt still just ended up crushing through eOnzErG. eOnzErG really kind of botched his build a bit, staying on 4-hatch, but I don't think that's going to be the case from Sziky, because Sziky, he just loves to drone. He loves to go into 6-hatch play. I think Ziki's got a much better shot.
Oh, Sziky's like the polar opposite of eOnzErG, stylistically. Sziky's the kind of player that, you know, he's comfortable with going into late game. He's comfortable with playing long games. He's comfortable with being not passive, but being patient when he needs to be, just to set himself up to get into those good positions. And eOnzErG is a much more impulsive player. So from a stylistic point of view, I mean, Dewalt's not going to be able to get away with just defending and basically defending the super aggression from the Zerg and getting into a good spot. But again, Dewalt in general himself is also a very macro heavy player. He's a very multitask heavy player in this matchup. He's not really the type of Protoss that goes for a super hardcore 2-base push, but rather he likes to just get small advantages here and there and then establish his 3rd base, his 4th base up, and Polypoid is going to be a really good map to do that on.
Yes, so the first map will be Polypoid. It's going to be Dewalt versus Sziky, and this is going to be the final matchup of the day. So in the top right, in the blue, we have our super strong Zerg player. It is Sziky.
Top left in the red, IRK Dewalt. Yeah. What do you think, Naoki?
What do I think? I think Sziky got a good spawn. He's going to have high ground advantage.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to put up so many, hiders up there. And I don't think Dewalt's going to have nearly as much success with his harassment-based style that he likes to go for. Something that I noticed about Dewalt is that sometimes, not all the time, last series versus eOnzErG was a bit different, but sometimes his harassment is kind of staggered, like not in sync with other stuff going on. And I think if he does have staggered harassment like that, I don't think he's nearly going to fall as much apart as eOnzErG, like the one Zealot, like in the Eclipse game, where really nothing was happening other than eOnzErG Mike like kind of moving his lings around. It got off so much damage, and I don't think that's really gonna work out versus someone like Sziky.
Yeah, but at the same time, we've seen Sziky actually play eOnzErG last week, right, on this map. I don't know if it was last week, but very recently in the BSL, he played eOnzErG. Yeah, it was last week. He played eOnzErG. And they went into late game, and eOnzErG won that game. Like, I mean, it was a pretty huge slugfest. And I know eOnzErG is really strong as a player, but I still have to rate Dewalt above eOnzErG, especially, in PvZ. So if Sziky struggled in the macro situation, and it was a very straight up macro situation against eOnzErG, I mean, I feel like Dewalt's going to be that much harder to deal with.
Yeah, I agree that I think this is definitely going to be really tough for Sziky, but I still like his chances. I think there's zero chance that his econ doesn't get rolling, and then I think it's going to come down to, can Dewalt create those openings that he was able to create in the eOnzErG game? Because if Sziky goes untouched, his macros just absolutely crazy. Now we do have another Forge expand from Dewalt. Nexus going down before the cannon, so he's going to get his econ rolling quite a bit. We do see that a drone is going to what looks like is going to be mid-right. So we have not been seeing any split map games, which is something that I see more and more these days, is that generally Zergs just do not opt into the split map style. Almost every single time it's at a mid base like we're seeing at mid-right.
Yeah, taking the bottom right base, you mean?
Yes, bottom right.
Yeah, I mean, it would be... Yeah, that style definitely has phased out. I don't think it's totally irrelevant. And it would be interesting to see someone pull that out. But just in the meta right now, it isn't trending. And when something isn't trending, people don't have the, the players don't have the confidence to just go out on a limb and do something that's off meta. So that could be it. It could be also just not as strong. It is a bit risky expanding further away, obviously, as Zerg, because especially if you choose to go for the... Here's the thing, right? If you expand to bottom right as Sziky and you choose to go for Hydras, you can't really reliably defend the other main. So you're kind of forced into going for something like early lurkers and just playing very turtle based. But when you do that, I mean, Protoss has so much space to take an expansion. And if they go Corsairs, right, like they have so much space to go for drops, to just abuse the fact that Zerg is just super passive in the mid game. And so I think that's probably why we don't see it as much. But it would be interesting if one of the players now, whips it out in the BSL. But of course, it's not going to be the case right now. Sziky's taking the mid-right expansion, which is very standard. So most likely we're going to see Hydralisks out of him. And it looks like, I mean, I wasn't paying attention while I was ranting profusely, Nayokin. I'm assuming he has a lair coming.
Yeah, lair is pretty much done. Spire's going to be starting pretty soon. And Sziky did build 4 lings, which is the amount that I like, because you can easily push out the probe. And that's what he's done. But the probe still survived for quite a long time. Now, the initial Zealot did move out. It was intercepted, I think, right now by the Lings. So they are chasing it, and Dewalt's not going to get any damage done. Taken out for free, that's a big loss, because we know that a lot of Protoss players do like to send out their first Zealot, hide it in the shadows somewhere, and then when something's actually happening, oh, got a Zealot in your third base, or oh, got a Zealot in your natural. Ling's going to try and poke in here, but nice solid wall from Dewalt with the probe to make sure that that doesn't happen. Citadel's going up, and everything looks very similar in timing to what we saw in the eOnzErG game, so more than likely we're going to see a lot of Sares come out pretty soon. I didn't get a catch on the gas timing for Dewalt, but because of how low it is, it might be a little more Zealot heavy.
Yeah, I mean, his Forge is spinning, but no, you can see in the replay progress that, we have the production tab, fortunately. So the +1 air is coming. Citadel just now finished. Templar Archives going up on 1 gate. So very possible, DTs coming soon. Could be just for Storm. But definitely is going to commit to getting those Corsairs in typical Dewalt fashion. And Sziky himself with the 5 hatcheries, he's still no second gas. Evo down, Hydra down. Now comes the second gas, so extremely standard opening here from Sziky. And unlike eOnzErG, no early units, just making a lot of drones. Made enough lings to just make sure that Dewalt doesn't basically run Zealots for free into his base. And this is a much more stable version of what we saw when comparing to Dewalt versus eOnzErG. And really, I mean, this is also due to Sziky's style, but Dewalt is definitely playing a bit more passive here. He didn't go for early push-outs with Zealots, and I wonder if it's because Sziky, I wonder why that is, actually. But, for now, pretty standard. And Dewalt very luckily gets away with those 2 Corsairs.
Yeah, Dewalt's gonna avoid disaster. Those 2 Scourge had those Sares on their radar, and losing 2 Sares would be a huge win for Zeke. DT coming out, just like we saw in the eOnzErG games. More Corsairs being pumped out too. +1 weapon's going to be kicking in for air and ground pretty soon. So you know those Corsairs are going to be packing quite a punch pretty soon. Econ pretty good for Zeke too. Already at 32 drones. He's got, I think, 5 hatch up already. We see a couple at his third base, maybe even a 6 hatch. Yep, 6 hatch. So already his econ is really rolling, and he's got the evolution chamber that eOnzErG never got in any of his games.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what the Zerg should look like. The DT is coming in here, but you can see because Sziky is just being so passive, not passive, but just, you know, meticulous with getting his build up and rolling. The Overlords are covered with the Hydras. There's no real opportunity for Dewalt to do any damage just yet. I mean, usually this Zealot Corsair combination doesn't come online until 8:39. That's when +1 kicks in. That's when you get up to 6 Corsairs and you get a bunch of Zealots. But it looks like Dewalt also made a couple of Templar very early on, so he's going to bank up that energy for Storm. But that also means that he's not going to be as aggressive with the Zealot Corsair timing that could come much earlier here. Instead opting, you know, because you could actually go for a couple more gates and just pump out the Zealots and use the Zealots to basically screen for the Corsairs while the Corsairs kill the Overlords. But he's not going to go for that aggressive approach. Sziky, meanwhile, is going to have a lot of time to drone up here. He's getting his 3rd gas, 6th hatchery, Lurker aspect coming, and that's a lot of space for Zerg to have. But at the same time, what's Protoss' compensation here? He's getting +1 armor, getting Kaydarin amulet, so he's going to comfortably get a bunch of Templar. And I wonder, is he going to go into Dragoon production anytime soon? Is he going to try and take a fast 3rd base? Is he going to add gates up till 8?
Well, what I'm most worried about for Dewalt is Lurkers are coming. The upgrade is halfway done, and there's no robotics anywhere in sight. He's getting Kydarian amulet. Okay, actually robotics has started, but observatory is going to take a long time. Hydras are trying to buy some time because Zeke is going into super econ mode. He thinks that he can take this high ground 3rd base and potentially get 4 bases up and running, but I don't know about that. Supply block coming in 75 out of 70, and this is a ton of Zealots. +1 armor is going to kick in within about a minute or so. So Zeke's in a bit of trouble because this supply block, that means he can't build any units.
Yeah, this is sick from Dewalt. He's hitting the timing right before Lurkers. Even though Lurker aspect finishes, there's no time to morph these Lurkers. Sziky's still going for it. But I mean, that's that many Hydras that aren't in the fight. They're going to get stormed. I mean, they do tank a lot of these Zealot hits. And, you know, Sziky still has a ridiculous amount of Hydralisks behind this nonetheless. So probably Dewalt won't be able to get much out of this. Interestingly enough, he's going for the Lurker eggs, and now his Zealots are getting split apart. He could have easily probably picked it. He could have killed the hatchery here and kind of retreated back, but he did nothing. Did absolutely no damage. Dewalt got, Sziky got his Lurkers up. There's no observatory just yet. The observatory is only halfway done. So Zyky's going to set up a sick contain here, and Dewalt has barely any Dragoons. It's going to be so hard for him to break out of this anytime soon.
Yeah, perfect hold from Zeke there, and a bit of a botch from Dewalt. 8th hatchery going up, and he also lost, for Zeke, and he also lost all of his Templar. So not only does he have to build up his goon count, he's got to rebuild those Templar. Look like Zealots are coming in for a secondary attack, and I don't see any defense. There's, like a handful of Lings and a handful of Hydras. Hydras going to come turn around and try and save the day. Scourge get a nice connection there, but Zealots are going to be in the natural. They're going to be defending these Hydras at the 3rd base too. Dewalt's trying to make it crazy, and I think this is a smart move because right now, outside of Dewalt's base, there's only 3 Lurkers. This is his chance to try and bust out and make sure a contain doesn't happen.
Yeah, Dewalt kept his initial force of Zealots outside of his base so they could circumvent the blockade, basically the contain, and he got a lot of damage out. Basically forced a lot of Zyky's Hydras that were there supporting the Lurkers back, and now the Lurkers got pushed back, and Dewalt's going to be able to get out onto the map with a bunch of gates behind this, with a bunch of Dragoons coming and Zealots. 1 shuttle queued up, so he's going to even think about going into drops, and I like this, just putting down the 3rd Nexus. I was going to say you know, if he chooses to go for a really aggro 2-base type of play, 2-base type of push here on Polypoid especially, it's really hard because this high ground here for Sziky is basically impenetrable. But instead, getting that expansion and probably going to double expand here. You know, we're getting close to 12 minutes. Around this time, the main and the natural, well, the main is definitely going to be running a bit low, the natural as well. So Protoss really needs to think about establishing more bases here to scale into the late game. And, you know, with that said, he also has 140 supply army that's consisted of Dragoon, Templar, Zealot. So really that composition is coming together. +2 on the way, not quite yet done, which is the big, I think, looks like he's only on 1-1 upgrades, Dewalt is. So I think his upgrades are actually lagging a bit behind here.
Well, this might be suicide if he tries to tack up into this, but Dewalt doing what Dewalt does is when he makes an attack, he makes some type of harassment base play. At the same time, Zealot and DT drop into the main, but Sziky on top of it, he notices it, but that's gonna, you know, he's not prioritizing the defense at the 4th base, and now lurkers have been pushed back. There's a decent amount of goons. I've only seen 1 storm being used. So this is a fantastic move from Dewalt, but it looks like Sziky just a little bit too many units, and he is going to push him back.
Yeah, he just has so much stuff. Sziky had, with this DT is getting in, only 2 kills, 3 kills, 4 kills, 5. That's starting to pay off for him. I mean, 5 kills there is really nothing to brag about, especially considering how much Dewalt invested in getting that shuttle drop off. He lost so much of his supply, and now he's behind in supply. He's only now finished his 3rd base, and it looks like, I mean, Sziky had so much time in the early game to basically set himself up. That's what happens also when Protoss goes for the heavy Corsair play. It's more passive, it's not as aggro, especially because he went Corsairs into Templar, right? Like, he didn't go Corsairs into like Mass Zealot to try and pressure. So really, Sziky had so much time to just establish himself that he has more than enough units to stop the drop in his main, to stop the push at his 3rd. And because of the positional advantage here, having the high ground face his opponent, his 4th base is way harder to assail here. So Dewalt really has no options other than to double expand and play a late game. But I mean, Sziky is just in such a good spot. He has Hive, adrenal glands coming, he's getting upgrades, melee upgrades, carapace upgrades, just everything is looking great for Sziky.
Yeah, ZVP always very difficult at every single point in the game, but this is the point in the game where I get especially worried for Protoss players, because now Hive has kicked in. They're going to have all those powerful upgrades coming in pretty soon. Supplies are ridiculous. Zealot into the main base, no reaction from Sziky just yet. He needs to clean that up. Meanwhile, he's attacking the Nat in the 3rd base, but I don't think that this is going to get much damage done. So Dewalt's going to trade really well here. I think back in the main of Sziky, eventually it's been cleaned up by a few Hydralisks, but Sziky's starting to explode. But take that back, bottom right hatchery gets taken out. So Dewalt is going to keep Sziky on 4 bases, and that's what you need to do. You cannot let Zerg start going off the deep end like 6-7 base with, you know, infinity hatches, especially when they're on Hive tech. So Dewalt's doing a good job, and he also has his 4th base up and running.
Yeah, but now that basically, you know, Hive is kicking in, he's getting adrenal glands as well. These Zerglings are gonna become insane. I wonder where the defilers are, though. Still no defilers. Yeah, this is a massive attack from Dewalt, and I don't think Sziky actually has enough at his high ground here. The storms are absolutely nuts from Dewalt. The Sziky with a counterattack here, exactly what he needs. He needs to get some compensation, because I think he's going to lose his high ground. He has only a couple of lurkers and they're on the low ground. So I think Sziky, you know, in the chaos of what Dewalt was doing, he killed bot right, and he was trying to do drops, kind of getting completely caught out of position, but he is getting Dewalt's 3rd or 4th base here. So trading blow for blow, but considering just how massive this Protoss army is, I mean, I really am scared for Sziky. Is he going to be able to hold on to his natural after this? Look at how many Dragoons there are.
I think this game's done. Dewalt just has such a huge army count. None of the goons died, really, and he's just busted through easily. Sure, he's going to lose his 4th Nexus, but he doesn't care, because he smells blood. He's just going to go straight for the natural. No need to attack the 3rd base. If he wipes out the Nat, wipes out the main, that's half of the production, and it gets rid of all the tech. So look at the supply, 140 to 80. Dewalt's doing it.
And here's what I'm thinking, Nyokin. Where is that Defiler Mound? He never put it down. He got Adrenal Gland so early. It should have been finished. I mean, okay, there it is. It wasn't research he consumed this whole time. And Sziky taps out GG 1-0 Dewalt. But really, I have to just ask, where were the Defilers? I mean, even that timing was probably early enough that even if he got straight Defiler Mound down and Consume started right away, maybe Consume was on the way there, but at least by the time Dewalt gets to Sziky's natural, I think Sziky should have Dark Swarm at that point, which means he doesn't lose his natural, doesn't lose his main, still has his third mining, and is expanding bottom left, has access to Nidus Canals, and just killed Dewalt's Nexus. So if he had Swarm there to hold on, I think he probably would have been in a decent spot, but for some reason, just not getting Defilers in time.
Yeah, no Defilers there definitely was a big mistake, but also you remember the Lurker and Hydra attack at the third, between the third and the natural. It did nothing.
Yeah,
It was a big loss there. And then also he split off a lot of Hydras to take down the fourth base. So a bit of a misstep from Sziky. I think it was okay to lose the Lurkers and Hydras if he hadn't attacked the fourth base, because he still would have had a ton of units on the high ground. But to do both of them and really trade for nothing, really, just the Protoss army was a little bit too big, and Dewalt caught him. So props to Dewalt to recognize that, hey man, I've just got a massive army, and I know that you just lost a lot, and I know that this handful over here is out of position. I'm just going to go kill you. So really nicely done from Dewalt, and as usual, he's just looking super strong. His harassment, if you noticed in that game, got shut down much easier than in the eOnzErG game. So Sziky still looking really good, but a little bit too greedy that game.
Yeah, and just really unfortunate because he had all the tools. Once again, you know, he had so much space to basically get his infrastructure up. And again, Dewalt's build so passive, but it just shows how confident he is in getting into that late game situation. Gets the Corsair count up, so he doesn't die to Mutalisks. Gets the Templar out nice and early, so he doesn't die to Hydras, and just takes a third base and tries to navigate the game from there. But again, that does open him up a bit, because when you go both, you know, Corsairs and Templar all at the same time while trying to get your gateway count up, you just don't have that much presence on the map. So you saw Sziky, you know, once Dewalt got into kind of harassment mode and trying to push and drop at the same time, I mean, Sziky didn't even have to struggle that hard to deal with it, because he had so many units. He just boxed a couple units back up to his main, had most of his units at his high ground, and just completely shut down a lot of what Dewalt was doing. But unfortunately, Sziky, it seems to me, just kind of falls apart in the late game, and we saw that against eOnzErG also. He has a really strong mid game, but like these uncharacteristic mistakes, like the Defilers being late despite having Hive, and that attack that you mentioned, Nyokin, where he sends a bunch of Lurkers to the natural, kind of made absolutely no sense. So just kind of really weird. I think Sziky does 100%. His mid game looks impeccable, obviously, in his early game, but late game just looks like he struggles, man.
Yeah, he gets everything up and running, like you said, but it just seems to fall apart. So maybe Dewalt actually has, you know, a good shot in the mid-late game, because that's some of the things that whenever I watch Protoss players versus Zerg, is I get really worried once Hive Tech kicks in, because Zerg units are just so ridiculously effective. Dark Swarm Plague, you got Cracklings dealing infinity damage. Now our second map is going to be, what did they agree on? It's going to be Eclipse for our second map. So what do you think about this? We've already seen Dewalt take out eOnzErG today. Overall, Protoss players have been dominating this particular map, but well, we'll just get into it. It's going to be Dewalt versus Sziky Eclipse. Dewalt wins here. This is going to be another 2-0. It's going to be 5 2-0s today.
Protoss, by the way.
Yeah, all Protoss. So in the top right, making to look make a clean sweep for the Protoss players, it is Dewalt.
And the bottom left, Hungarian Zerg, it is Sziky. Yeah, you were saying about Eclipse?
Yeah, so you like Dewalt's chances on here versus someone like Sziky? he's going to be able to get up his 3 bases easily for the Zerg. Dewalt is going to have to, move out quite far to get his 3rd base. And you were saying that the mid game for Sziky looks especially strong. So I feel like on this particular map, maybe Dewalt will struggle to find a 3rd base.
Here's the thing, right? Now that you're stimulating my brain, Nyokin. It's really Sziky's style. Like, he does not play ultra aggressive, obviously in ZVP as we've seen. He really is more turtle based. I mean, even on a map like Reap the Storm, we saw him play versus Dewalt, and he went for Hydra Lurker and just got completely smashed because that map really isn't a map where you can play defensively like that. So on Eclipse, it definitely is a map that Zerg can abuse Protoss in the mid game if you play aggressively, but Sziky just sets himself up for that Lurker defense and then goes into late game and just isn't that successful. Again, we've seen him struggle against eOnzErG, we've seen him struggling against Dewalt. So the fact that he plays for late game, but then even when he gets to late game, seems to not always have the success that he does. I mean, to respond to what you were saying, if he plays, this is going to be a cannon rush.
Yeah, it's a cannon rush. So we were talking about this earlier, and eOnzErG, we didn't get to see it come into fruition, but we were suspecting that this was going to be a cannon rush. Sziky instantly pulls, and I'm not sure where you put the second pylon, but the drone,
there.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so is this just game over? Oh, the drone gets in. Is that a cannon though? What is that? It is a cannon. Oh, no, it's not. Can 2 drones range this cannon? I think it can. Oh, probe goes down. That's a huge one, but he's got a secondary probe in the back. He's got to get down another pylon, though. He doesn't have the resources just yet. Sziky gets denied. But this is a big investment. If these cannons complete and Sziky cancels the hatch, but he's not going to, he's not going to have that option. What's the best choice, to let the hatch finish or cancel?
I mean, he should cancel it. He didn't cancel it. 100%. I mean, the thing is, if he cancels it, Dewalt instantly cancels the two more cannons there, and puts down his Nexus. So, but sometimes, like, even when you get a cannon rush like this, you have time to put down a creep colony, and because of the sunken bug that basically you can outrange the cannons basically using the AI that whatever, I'm not gonna explain it, but you can outrange the cannons. But because this is 2 cannons this early, this hatchery 100% is gonna go down. But at the same time, I mean, Dewalt, his natural is super delayed. He has to get double cannons there also, so Sziky can expand to his other base, but at this point, I mean, he can't really reliably clean that formation up. So, it's 3 pylons, 2 cannons. I think he almost needs Hydras to clear that out. So he's going to have to make a couple of early Hydras. Okay, looks like he's going to try and get a run by here. But Dewalt with insane probe micro, the 2 cannons finish. And, dude, this is such a bad spot for Sziky.
Well, this will deny the Nexus because those Lings on hold position, I think, prevent it from going down. Now, Dewalt has an option. He still has the probe still out. He gets one of them. And now that's only 1 Ling, and the probe is sitting at the 3rd base. And what a lot of players can do is they can cannon this base too. Ling takes out that probe, so a bit of a misstep there. But overall, Dewalt just in a dominating position. Look at it, 19 probes to just 10. Lings will prevent a cannon rush going down at the 3rd base. But what I was thinking that Dewalt might actually do was when he put down that cannon near the hatch, was to just contain the ramp straight up from Sziky, and then nothing could get out. But obviously not the case.
Yeah, but that is risky because at the end of the day, like, a Zerg can just pull a bunch of units on the high ground, get speed, and just run by Mongo style. But I mean, the reality is, this is such a bad spot for Sziky. He has to go for a 2-base play, I would imagine. I think he should just make a lair at his mid left base, because he's not going to be able to take this bottom right base anytime soon. He would have to invest into getting Hydras to basically kill those, unless he makes like 40 trillion Zerglings. But even then, I mean, look at Protoss. I think Protoss's tempo advantage is too great here. Even if Sziky goes for the lair, as this one Zealot comes in, he's going to kill the 1 drone. or at least deny the mining for sure. Even if Sziky goes for a lair, thing is, Dewalt is so far ahead that he can do his standard build and have, and basically catch absolutely everything Sziky could possibly throw at him, whether it's the lair play, whether it's like a crazy Hydra play. But it looks like Sziky is actually going to take a third base.
Yeah, he's going to be taking mid-left, and I don't know what to think exactly about that. But Lings, surprisingly, deal a lot of damage and take out that Zealot easily. I don't think a single one went down. Drone almost falls to that Zealot. Now, the Lings are softened up, so this Zealot is going to be much more effective versus these particular Lings. Lair is already done. I'm looking at what's coming in for Dewalt. Stargate has started. So everything looks just fine for him. Zealot does fall, so this pressure is going to be over with. I don't think that Zealot got spotted. Okay, maybe it did by those Zealots, but it looks like he's just going to go straight to the main.
Yeah, and Dewalt has no idea that this is a third base here from Sziky, and Sziky is going to go for the Spire, but look at how far behind it is compared to the Stargate. The Zealot is going to get to scout the lair, scout the Spire, and, I mean, his Stargate is already done. He's got +1 air weapons now queued up because he saw that Spire. So he knows what's up. I mean, he doesn't see a third base. He's probably assuming 2 hatchery play here, but at the same time, this is so late. I mean, I like this play from Sziky. Go for the Spire. Makes the really mobile Muta-Link composition. Enables him to defend mid-left, and then he can actually get the mid-left base up and running. But, Dewalt has basically all the information he needs. He could even put down a second Stargate, which he won't do, but that would be absolutely incredible if he did.
Yep, Spire is about to finish. First Stair is coming out. Overlords are spread all around the map. I'm not too sure if Dewalt will catch an Overlord, but that would be really nice if he could find it. Look at the amount of damage he's already done. 40 probes to 22 drones. Absolutely bonkers. There's no 4th hatch anywhere. There's no 5th hatch anywhere. Just ridiculous amount of damage he's done with the cannon rush, with the first few Zealots, despite not killing that many Lings. So overall, Dewalt is just really, really on top of the ball this game, of course, like he usually is. Again, looks like a very similar build to what we've seen all day long. Citadel is done. Templar Archive, I think, is pretty much done. Actually, is that speed halfway done? Oh, this is just going to be a Zealot bust.
Yeah, he's still making Corsairs, but you can see this is basically what I was talking about last game, where Dewalt went for the quick Templar Archives. This is a variation of that build that he did last game, where instead of getting the Templar, you actually get Gates out first, and then you get a bunch of Zealots out. And the Zealot Corsair combination is going to be super aggressive here onto Zerg momentarily. And I mean, Sziky actually went for Scourge, so you can see even in a situation where he's like ridiculously far behind, where you can 100% justify going for kind of an all-in play, he's trying to play it out. He's trying to play the macro game out. But Dewalt is at just such an incredible advantage here. +1 is about to finish, and it's only Zergling Sunken to defend. If he has +1 here, it's still only +0. So he has to wait for that upgrade to kick in before he can start trading absolutely incredibly against these Lings. It's still not done yet. He is going to get on top of the Sunken, going to kill it really quick. Still no +1. I don't know. I guess the product. Oh, yeah, there he goes. So that's going to be massive. But already so many Zealots died. Only 4 Zealots up, actually. The Mutalisk finish. And another Zealot inside of Sziky's main. Dewalt's signature multitask coming into play here. And behind this, Dewalt is just non-stop building Corsairs. He's gonna kill this Spire, maybe. No, he's killing more drones, but Sziky is in a world of pain, dude.
Yeah, this is over. It's already 85 supply to 45, and I love the move out because he knows that there's no way there's gonna be Hydras, so he forces out Mutalisk, which he doesn't even care about because he's been building Sairs the whole time. He's got +1 weapon on his Sairs already, so this is just Dewalt picking Sziky apart. There's the +1 as Zero is showing us, and because there's no natural, Zealots can just waltz into the main at any point. We see them ransacking the third base. Now, here come the Mutalists, but this time they're Sair supporting, and they're going to pick off the Scourge. They're at critical number, 5 Sairs. These Mutas are just going to literally just evaporate. Well, maybe not. 2 Seres already falling. They're trading decently well, but there's just way too many Seres, way too many Zealots. +1 armor just kicked in for the Zerg, an anti-timing for the Zerg, and Sziky just taps out, and that is going to be another 2-0 for our Protoss players across the board. 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. Nobody can stop them.
Yep.
That's it. Just yep.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, total domination for the Protoss players. What were we talking about? I feel like we were talking about this earlier about how there's the Protosses have just been doing so well in BSL, and again, no surprise. I mean, is it surprising? I don't know. I don't know.
It's not necessarily surprising, but it is surprising that 2 all-star Terrans, 2 all-star Zergs just kind of rolled over. Like, the only close game today really was, well, okay, there was 2 close games. kogeT had a good comeback in the Polypoid game, and Sziky had a pretty good game versus Dewalt that we just saw. But every other game was kind of just the other players just getting crushed. eOnzErG crushed kogeT on Benzene. Sziky right now just got crushed. Dewalt, was it Dewalt versus eOnzErG? Just crushed him 2-0. There was no chance in either of the games. I guess the one counterattack on Eclipse, but really, Protoss, there was maybe one moment in the Eclipse game versus eOnzErG where Zerg may be able to get a win. Other than that, Protoss was in control of the flow of the game every single time.
Yeah, and I mean, what else can we add? Not much. For just the Protoss day today. I wonder tomorrow, what are we gonna have in store for you guys? I'm not quite sure what the lineup of. Okay, so we're actually gonna go to that in a second here, and yeah, I mean today just total domination by Protoss players, and again, I mean it was a large part of that was Dewalt playing twice, PVZ. Of course, we know his PVZ. Again, I've been saying this from the beginning. I think PVZ is his best matchup, and Bonyth also, playing. And I mean, we did see a Protoss lose. It was Boa versus another Protoss. So, but here's the lineup for tomorrow. Dewalt Sziky we just saw. So it's going to be Bonyth Sziky, and then Boa Oya, Bonyth eOnzErG, Dewalt kogeT, Dandy Sziky. So we're gonna get a TVZ tomorrow, but again, a lot of Protosses.
Yeah, just gonna be 9 straight games of Protoss versus X, but finally Dandy is going to give us a Terran versus Zerg. That should be a good matchup. Sziky looks really good versus Terran. He looks good in all matchups, but today, just getting picked apart from Dewalt. Had a good shot on Polypoid, but kind of a little bit too ambitious, trying to attack so much. And Dewalt looking monster mode, Bonyth looking monster mode. eOnzErG looked really good too. Overall, all the Protoss players look really good. So tomorrow, what matchup stands out to you? Is it Bonyth versus Sziky? I mean, that's the first thing I see here, and I'm just thinking, like, does it get any better than that?
I don't know, man. These are all pretty sick matchups in general. I think Bonyth versus Sziky is going to be really awesome. Boa versus Oya is basically the matchup of the dark horses. Honestly, they're both up and coming. They're both kind of dark horses in the tournament, and that's gonna be exciting. Bonyth versus eOnzErG, another kind of historic matchup, kind of a classic matchup. These two have played quite a fair amount in previous BSLs. Dewalt versus kogeT is going to be absolutely awesome to see the rematch, basically. Remember, Dewalt took the original series down 2-0, but there were some close games there. And then Dandy versus Sziky, we're going to get to see, finally, Dandy's TVZ, which he hasn't played this tournament at all yet, and I think is probably his best matchup. And we'll get to see Sziky get tested. Has Sziky played versus Terran? I don't recall, actually. I don't think he has.
I don't think he has. I think the only time we saw him play versus a Terran was potentially in Race Wars.
Yeah.
Or in the foreign.
No, he played versus in the All-Stars match.
Yeah, in the All-Stars match, we saw him play on Gladiator, and Gladiator's a really strong Zerg map. But tomorrow, I think the match that I want to see the most is Bonyth versus eOnzErG, because they seem to hit each other quite often in BSL, and it seems to be that Bonyth just slightly takes out eOnzErG, whether it's 2-1, or I think there was a finals between them where Bonyth edged him out 4-2. So I
Yeah.
would really like to see that matchup tomorrow. But that's going to be it for us today. You got any shout outs, Gypsy? Got anything else to say?
Game on, gamers.
We have to shout out our sponsors, of course. We've got Blizzard and Liquipedia and the Esports Fund. Thank you so much for the support. And of course, the viewers today, massive donations. Thank you so much for everything that you ended up donating today. If you would like to support the BSL financially, definitely sign up to be a Patreon. I think, as I was saying previously, that at the $20 level, or maybe it's the $10 level, you get all of the replays from the BSL. And at the $50 level, you're able to get some one-on-one coaching from Zero right now. I'm not sure if any players are doing it, but at the Bombastic general level at $100 a month, we of course have to thank Star Lover. $50 a month, Andrei Stevkowski, Gruglog Striker, and Federico Kozel. $20 a month, Christian Eddington, Mad Cat's Fury Road, Scott Wallfield, LML, Ling and Pump Comchuck. Thank you so much for the support. And of course, shouting out Sanko Magnus from MakingComputerDoThings.com for the FP view that we get every single week and has saved us so many times. So I think that is going to be it for us tomorrow. Make sure you do tune in because we're going to have sick lineup again. It is again going to be 5 best of 3s. Bonyth versus eOnzErG are going to be one of them. Bonyth versus Sziky going to be one of them. So you definitely don't want to miss out on that. So with that said, we will see you tomorrow at the same time, same place.
Peace out, guys.